of the Canadian Mouseman.
Finally.
Finally. So,
Welcome.
how's your holidays been, Dom?
It's been good. Happy that it's over. As much as I love the holidays, I love packing it, putting it in boxes, and storing it away. So, uh, it's been good. It's been good. Oh my God. I'm gonna say something. You just muted your mic. Wow, that sound is different. Um, so yeah, it's been good. How about you? How's your holidays? How about you, Tyrone?
Yeah, it was good. Busy with the three kids and all the festivities, and good to have a little bit of time off. But yeah, busy time of year for sure. But yeah, it's over quick. It's so much prep, and yeah, it's over fast.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely been a good Christmas, and got to hang out with family on Christmas Day, and then Boxing Day I drove out to Greg's, and then had like another dinner there, and then Saturday I got out here and been hanging out in Medicine Hat. So
You
yeah, it's
got to experience some Alberta cold.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
negative like 24 outside.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we've had a couple of those really cold days. Right now, it's like negative 10 Celsius or so, so it's not terrible, but it still sucks.
Down there too. So
Yeah. Anything let's go through with what's new with you this week, animal wise there.
Not too much. Everything's still information that needs to be there, and the other stuff is maintaining status quo kind of thing. I put everything, didn't feed anything before I went, just so nobody has to deal with anything while I'm gone. So I was just checking the ring python water bowls and making sure they're clean. Although my dad already said that he's changed them twice since I've been gone because I like to sit in them. So that's fun. But yeah, it's all good. Nice maintenance time of year where you can take a little bit of a break and get some other stuff done, kind of thing.
hmm
Anything new with you, Tyrone?
not animal wise. I mean, there's some more stock coming in January, but this time of year is the same thing. It's nice to have that little bit of a break where we do lots of maintenance, clean cages, and fix things that are broken and replace lights and all that stuff that you don't have time to do when you're busy. So it's kind of nice to have that bit of downtime because it allows you to catch up on all that shop duties that sometimes get pushed away when you're busy doing other stuff, shows and travel, and so yeah, we'll
Love it.
take that. We'll take the downtime when we can get it.
Yeah, what about you, Dom? Anything new? Or just the same?
Yeah, fair enough. Well, the big thing I would say is that right now I'm in my snake room and I'm wearing a hoodie, which is really, really weird. Just to give you an idea of how like I love coming in my snake room because it's nice and warm, and I love working in the warmth. I would pick heat every day, and now it's down to 66, 65. It sucks in here. Like it's like I'm wearing a hoodie and I'm comfortable. So I did do my first pairings about 4 days ago. I usually put them together on Christmas, and I actually happen to have done it literally on Christmas. I think I've put about 9 or 10 pairs together, and so far I've observed 4 pairs actually locked up. So I have 1 pair of inlands that have been locked up. I have 1 pair of West Popwinds that are both exanthic head granites, so for marble projects. I have my coastals that the male that I tried to breed last year that is a super hypo tiger has finally he's bigger, and now this year he actually bred. So he was locked up to an exanthic girl, and he's also with a hypo caramel tiger girl as well. So he hasn't been locking up with there. So I've had a good amount of locks so far, which is a great start. Um, I also had one jungle pairing that was locked, which I'll talk about that later because something weird happened with them. And that's about it. Haven't paired my diamonds yet, but they're leaving in about 2 weeks to go to Shan's place because I needed to go down to 50, and I'm getting close to my maximum cold. And yeah, I paired my roughies, but they're just cuddling and moving together and show zero interest. So I don't know. I hope something changes there. Um yeah, that's basically the only thing new animal wise. I'm doing just like you guys, fixing all the little things, changing thermostats, updating all the things that I have to do lately because I've a lot of free time. I'm off work as well for a little while during the holidays. So yeah, overall it's been good. So the only thing I notice is maybe you guys can figure this out if this has ever happened. So put two jungles together. They were locked up for like 10, 12 hours, like they often are. So they're really obvious. Then the next day, I find them separated, and I found blood in the cage. So I found bright red blood, and you could see that it was kind of like dragged or spread over in a couple of the area. Not a lot. Like I'd say the equivalent of like, let's say 10 drops, but enough that it's alarming. And I looked over both animals. They're 100% perfect. There is no injuries whatsoever anywhere else. My only thought is it's either from the Cleoca or from the hemipene. And just looking to see if you guys have heard anything. Have you ever had that happen? Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, periodically you see blood from time to time. You know, if maybe one wants to pull away and the other one does not, you'll get a little bit of minor tearing or something like that. So I would assume it's exactly that, a hemipene or a cloaca, minor tear, but nothing to worry about, I'm sure.
It's kind of
Especially
what
if you
I've.
don't see any swelling or, anything else noticeable.
No, I haven't. I haven't noticed anything whatsoever. I took them both out, and my thought was that I've heard of males getting like their hemipenes ripped out or things like that when you get a really aggressive female that wants to get away. And this female is about twice the size of the male, but this is a repeat pairing. I think the third year in a row. So they're usually pretty good with each other. So it's the first time I've ever seen that. So I'm a little. I don't know. I assume nothing's wrong, but yeah, just first time I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that in rat snakes and stuff at other
Yeah.
places I've worked. So
Yeah.
even if they have one, even if it was worse and it does lose a hemipene, the other one can usually still do the job. So that's why they got two.
That's it. Yeah.
Doesn't work for us though, eh?
No.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure it's minor, but definitely worth noting, that's for sure, if you see blood in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just I'm looking to see if they're gonna relock again. Now I'm just more curious than anything to see, because if they do again, then I'm like, it's all fine. Or there's a part of me that's like, should I separate, give them a week or so to heal and put them back in?
Yeah, that's a judgment call. I mean, if you're worried about it at all, I would separate, but I mean, that's, yeah,
Not
exactly. Would.
not crazy worried. They're still together. They've been together for the past 2 days, so for all you know, they have locked. I don't come here in this room that often. Like I come in here, I do the creepy guy with like the stalker with the flashlight real quickly, and I walk out. I do that a couple of times a night, maybe 2 or 3 times, but that's about it. So
Yeah.
they might have, and I just never noticed it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I think those roughies will be cool though when they go for you.
Fuck, if they go for you, for me, I
No,
really
they will.
hope so. I really hope so, man. That'd be like that'd be the crown achievement. Well, that and the diamonds. Those are, if I had to pick, I'll be honest, I would pick having diamonds over roughies.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's the number one for me. But the roughies would be pretty cool. It'd be a very good consolation prize. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. Is there any word on that one diamond clutch is doing?
So there is, and Shan put the name of the person online today, which I wasn't sure why he did, but when he listens to this, he's gonna realize that he did. So there is word. He hatched out 4 babies. He had about 7 or 8 eggs, and 4 of them came out in total, and all 4 are doing great. They're all reduced pattern diamonds. So he bred reduced pattern diamond to reduced pattern diamond, got a clutch of 8 eggs, hatched out 4, and 100% are reduced pattern, which to me, I'm not surprised. Unfortunately, it doesn't help on the is it recessive or is it incomplete dominant, because both scenarios, if they were both recessive, then it would give all recessive. If they were both incomplete dominant, let's say that was the like homozygous incomplete dominant form, then everything would be reduced pattern. So honestly, I don't know what it means. I just know that it means that reduced pattern to reduced pattern produces reduced pattern, is what that clutch to me tells me. So he has 4. He's agreed to sell us 2, and he's very slow to reply, but we are in the process of trying to acquire 2 more reduced pattern. So I'll take one. Shan would take one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Always helps to. You have a reduced pattern girl, right? So
Yeah, so I've got one girl that's about I'd say 6.5 feet. She's at least 1 second. Let me just move the computer. 2021. So she's of age. I think she can do it. But I guess she's not the biggest girl, if that makes sense. Like she's maybe, I don't know, this big around, like around the size of like a golf ball. So she's got size, she's got length, she's got age, but the only thing is honestly her head is not that big. I don't know how else to describe it. Like she hasn't grown into her head yet, which I don't get because she's 4 or 5 years old. Like so I don't know. I'm trying her. I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, worst case, it takes another year, and
Yeah.
with a diamond python, that's just all right as long as you end up successful
I'm
at some
not that
point.
patient.
It's not that many in Canada, so I mean they were produced here for a while and then just kind of dropped off. So they definitely
Yeah.
need more.
Well, once
Yeah,
Aslam stopped breeding them and then Don Patterson stopped breeding them, those were the only two people breeding them in Canada.
Well, no, there's a guy in Calgary that bred them even before those guys, a gentleman by the name of Mark, and he bred them for a lot of years. But
Okay. I'm
they
guessing he
were,
stopped though.
he did, yeah, he stopped, and yeah, nobody really picked it up. And they were, I mean, this is back in the day, probably almost 20 years ago, but they were $250, and you couldn't give them away. Like
Can you
just
imagine?
nobody cared, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I still think there's like 20 people in Canada that wants them. I think that's the size of the market. So I think you'll be able to sell maybe 5, 6, maybe up to 10 at their regular price. Like, and they're worth about, let's be honest, $2,000. Like you can buy it from Star Python for a little under 2,000, but by the time you get it here, it's $2,000, maybe a little bit more, right? So that's the price of a diamond. But I'm just we're not enough people that are crazy into it. That if you bred like if 2, 3 people had clutches, like we would be completely saturated. I don't even know how you'd move them. You'd have to move them out of the country. But
Yeah. That's always been the whole carpet market here in Canada. It's just
yeah,
not,
which
we're just not big enough here.
yeah, that's why I need to wholesale to you, Tyrone, so you can move my animals.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do sell, but you know, they certainly don't sell as fast as some of the other things. They're they're a little harder, that's for sure. And I mean, I love them. I got a ton of carpet pythons here, but it's always been a little harder in Canada for carpets. They just never really taken that foothold that they should have.
Yeah, I wonder if it's from a lack of exposure at shows because I've literally never ever seen a Morelia table at a reptile show.
Not
And
a full table. No.
no, and you hear of that all the time, right, in the Toronto shows. So can you imagine if you went to a show in Canada and actually had a Morelia table? And don't get me wrong, if I went there, that's exactly what my table would be. But that's way too much work. I don't do shows.
Yeah. Yeah, we always have some represented at the table, but yeah, certainly not a full table. But like I say, they do sell. We probably sell, I don't know, maybe one or two an expo type thing, you know, but they're not flying out the door. But the people that do know about them and love them and want them. So, but the market is just like everything else in Canada, a bit smaller. You got to adjust your production accordingly. You're not overproducing for the size of the market here.
100% agree. And just to reply to Savannah's message there, yes, diamonds are a girl's best friend. The only problem is diamonds for girls are way more expensive than actual diamonds. Just had to say it.
that's fair.
um,
Well,
yeah, so
Tyrone, do we want to get
there
into
you go.
your backstory on how you got into reptiles?
How I got into reptiles, like way back, like before the business.
Yeah.
I guess when I was a kid, I always wanted reptiles, and mom and dad wouldn't let me have anything. So the only thing they would let me have was newts. So I kind of always had newts when I was at home. And then once I got out on my own, it snowballed because I was then able to get whatever I wanted. And then it kind of had a section of frogs, had all 10 or 12 different tanks of frogs. And I thought, this is great. I want to maybe get, you know, one lizard would be cool to get, you know, and then that snowballed into 10 different kinds of lizards. And then it's like, oh, maybe just one snake, you know, and just dabble and get one snake. And then of course that snowballed. So yeah, it's, I love everything. That's the problem is, my interest is wide. It's amphibians and snakes and lizards and everything. So I love it all, but yeah, it's definitely was a big part of my upbringing And when I was out on my own, always had it as a hobby. And then once I was able to buy this business, it it grew even more. So it's been a slow build for the last, well, I'm 50, so 30 years. So yeah, it's been great. I love it. I still love it, which is, makes it exciting and fun to come to work every day, because I think once you're bored of it or tired of it, it's time to get out, because they're living animals. So
For sure. So
So
when did you get snakes then?
oh, it would have been probably a year or so out of high school when I moved out on my own. So 95, probably first snake. However many years that is, if you had to do the math.
30 years ago?
Yeah.
and what did you get?
It's been a while. Yeah. And it was an A Melkorn snake from a pet store. That was my first ever snake.
And you still got a few of those back there.
I still got a few. Yeah. Still
So just by
representing.
curiosity, how was it going to a pet store or going to the reptile shows in the 90s? So I did it, but at the late 90s. I'm curious to see, because you're about like maybe 8 to 9 years before me.
How was it? I mean, pet stores were the place. I mean, they were, there was no internet, right? I mean, they were the guys that had the lists and could order things. There was no sourcing and really anything on your own, other than a few local breeders that had stuff. So they were the guys that had the Strictly lists and all the wholesale lists that were kicking around at that time, your Glades, Herp, and the places to get things. So you had to go through those pet stores. Those pet store guys were gods. Like they were the guys that ordered stuff. So the internet kind of changed all that and made that accessible to everybody. But back in the day, I mean, the reptile manager at a pet store that you went to was your drug dealer. I mean, he was your guy. So, and that's
So crazy to hear it like that,
it was
right?
mostly all wild caught. There was some captive bred, but it was mostly all wild caught back in the day. So, you were bringing in blood pythons that the only way you keep them alive was in a tub full of mud. We'd get big plastic garbage cans full of mud, and that's how you keep blood pythons. It's the only way they'd eat. You'd have to create like a swamp for them. Yeah, it was a different world, that's for sure. You had to make everything. There was nothing other than maybe like heat bulbs that was commercially available. You couldn't go and buy a rack. You couldn't buy a cage unless it was a tank and you were converting, a lid to a mesh lid. You were building racks, you were buying tubs. There was no heat tape. So we were buying what do you call it? It was like a pipe wrap from Home Depot, so you could so your pipes wouldn't freeze. You'd
Is
use
it
that. Yeah, it had a diode. So you'd cut it open, take the diode out, weld that together, and then you would make your own dimmer switch, right, out of electrical blocks. And that was, and that you routed and you made a rack out of that. So we literally created everything. There was nothing commercially available. So it wasn't just about getting the animal, it was literally constructing everything you needed from the ground up. So, and I think that's where old school guys like me learned a lot of this shit, because you literally had to build everything. There was no going to the store and buying a thermostat and buying a tank and just wasn't available.
So just for the next show, Michael, try to remind me. I'm going to fish out like 2 or 3 old pictures of myself. I have one that's really shameful, but it shows my bedroom. And my bedroom was all these cages handmade with wood and all that type of shit. And I used the eaves trough, like the cable that you would put in eaves trough to warm it up. That's what I would use to do. But I think I have a picture of myself like at 16 years old without a shirt, holding an African rock python behind the cage, but in the background. That's why I'm saying like it's really bad. My scrawny little body and all that anyway. But you can see all the cages, all man-made, like, and I would play with wood, and it was all, I lived in it was the exact same era, right? It was all, there was no such thing as buying anything from the store, or you could buy aquariums. That was about it, right? So
yeah, aquariums. Yeah. So what we would do with aquariums, if we wanted to set up gecko cages and stuff, we'd turn them on their side like a 20-gallon, and we smash out the top, and we'd build a screen for the top out of a screen door kit, right? We'd silicone that'd be the top, and then we'd cut a piece of glass for the mullion on the front, and then we would Velcro on again a screen kit on the front. So you'd have a screen door essentially on Velcro and then a screen top, and that was, for your gecko or for your lizards. You could accommodate a heat lamp, and because again, there was no cages that had mesh tops, and you had to literally build it if you wanted it.
Um, do you guys remember going to pet stores and they had these gigantic aquariums that were like an octagon?
Yeah, yeah.
And you often see them, right? Sometimes it'll be like guinea pigs or things
Yeah.
like that. I remember I acquired one of those and it was gigantic. It was like probably 6 feet of 6 foot diameter, right? So I had a huge hexagon, and that was what I kept my second snake that I ever acquired. And Mike, I don't know if I ever told you this, but my second snake that I ever acquired was a colubrid. It was a bull snake. So I had a pair of bull snakes that I kept in this gigantic whatever. I don't know if it had 6 sides or 8 sides, but weird little thing
Yeah.
that had a gigantic mesh top, and the mesh top was like 80 pounds to just remove it
Oh,
and
yeah.
take it off and all that. But anyway, I had one of those from a pet store that I kept in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing pet stores. Usually they use them for like the guinea pigs or the rabbits, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can
Small animal
picture that.
pens. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The touch pens, they called them. They usually kept the small
Oh
animals in them.
yeah,
Yeah.
like old pet lands and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a different world back then, that's for sure. I mean, it's just that, I look at what it is now. It's come so far, and there's so much commercially available for heating and lighting and caging, and I mean, it's all there. Like it's just not that it's easy now, but it's just so much easier for the species that we keep, that we can just go to a shelf somewhere and get something. It's incredible how much it's changed.
I'd agree, but then again, that being said, I think half the stuff in my entire room doesn't come from a pet shop or places like that. You still source out everything everywhere. So I think
Right.
we're
Yeah.
still doing it. So moving from the 90s, so you've had a couple of animals here or there. Can you kind of take us how did you get from there, from just a little keeper to making it your career, from what I can tell? Because I'm pretty sure I'm not looking at your bedroom there. I'm pretty sure I'm looking at a warehouse of
Yeah,
some
I mean,
type.
I'm
So
I'm gonna basically a warehouse full of snakes, but
so
yeah, we've
get
done
me
it. We've done it.
from there to here.
Okay, so yeah, that was say out of high school, and I kept some, things just as pets, and kind of grew the hobby for my own stuff. And then I started a place in Calgary. It was a fish and reptile store. It was called Riverfront Aquarium back in the day, and I was worked in the reptile department. So after I would do my warehouse job, I would go there and learn from those guys, and just back in the it was either books or people that you knew. You just soaked up knowledge from anybody you could. Um, so I worked there, and again grew the collection, and it wasn't until I moved back to Medicine Hat, where I was a customer of Canadian Mouseman. I was buying rodents from them for my own stuff, and they mentioned one day, I guess this would have been about 2007. They mentioned that they wanted to retire. It was an older couple that had the mouse shop, and I bought it in 2008. They basically just did the mice, and then I brought kind of my reptile hobby into Canadian Mouseman, and it's taken over. But so yeah, so full time since 2008. So almost 20 years, I guess, if you had to do the math on that.
So you're saying full time. So you're called Canadian Mouseman, right? Obviously,
Right.
we're gonna get into the rodent business, but you're not just a rodent breeder, right? Like, what else do you do?
Here a little bit of everything, mostly snakes, but some lizards and things like that. But mostly snakes here at the shop. We bring in from other breeders tortoises and turtles and geckos and things like that. Things that we wholesale and resell. But the breeding projects in the shop are pretty much limited to snakes and lizards. I just started some chameleons. Um, few newts, but yeah, I mean, I've bred a little bit of everything over the years, and that's again my focus of, or not focus, I should say, just because I love everything. I want to try that. Oh, I want to try that. I want to add that. So yeah, it's snowballed for sure. But yeah, we're basically in a warehouse with, a couple thousand animals, basically.
Do you do you mind going over how your warehouse is set up? Let's say for your rodent side, the animal side, and what you keep. Well, like I'm seeing cages on the right, I'm seeing tubs on the back. I
Yeah,
don't even know what I'm seeing on the left. Might be an
yeah,
aquarium.
it's it's
I don't
it's
know.
it's
The
more just
beard's
big
hiding it
extras
all.
for anoles and stuff like that. So yeah,
Oh,
all that.
okay.
Yeah.
So can
Mm.
you maybe go over what your whole setup is, what your whole warehouse looks like, just so we can kind of get an idea. So 1,000 animals spread out over.
Yeah, mostly breeders. There's a baby wall and kind of a wholesale area where things we bring in. Um, the rodents are brought in. I've got two or three different vendors that basically breed for me, and I bring in from those guys. We used to do it all in house, but locally in Medicine Hat, we lost our kind of local feedlot, and that pretty much killed it for me here. So I was forced to kind of look at bringing them in from other places. So that kind of took a lot off my plate. Once the rodents kind of left the business, and I wasn't in a 4,000 square foot warehouse full of rodents doing them every day, it really freed up my time to expand more on this, because I could only do so much with the reptiles because the rodents are such a time consuming deal that it freed up my time to for this end of the hobby for sure, for more breeding. And yeah, and it's kind of set up in, the breeders are kind of on this side. There's a baby section. It's really tough to explain. It's just a big warehouse full of things. It's just, well, I mean, you can,
Yeah.
I don't know if you explain it any better,
Yeah,
but I mean,
like here, this is all rainbow boas, some pine snakes, some other colubrids, carpet pythons right here. But then there's tons of V70 racks with corn snakes and you even have some ball pythons, your Angolan pythons, there's Walma pythons, blood pythons. Uh, yeah, there's like various like these heavy duty racks here with the exos on them. There's a couple ones throughout it. Kind of some have bearded dragons, others have like these have groups of tokay geckos in them. There's anoles. Yeah, there's tons of cool stuff.
maybe
Skates.
maybe sometime we'll do a mobile walk around and show it off a little differently. But yeah, it's just full of stuff. And again, it's just all stuff I love. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
There's a turtle tank behind us right now
yeah,
too.
the turtle's right here. Yeah.
So okay, do you mind if we go over? So obviously Michael named a couple of the species. So let's go boas. Do you keep any boas?
Mostly just rainbow boas. We've got
Okay,
some IMGs,
Colombians or
Colombians and Brazilians.
okay.
Yeah, so some Colombian morphs. We got leucistics and albinos and things like that. The patternless. Brazilians, we've got some head anery stuff, some hypos, and then some kind of, I guess, line bred stuff, some orange line, some red line, some normal stuff. So things like that. I don't know how many, I'd have to count how many rainbow bows are here. Maybe
He's at 20
there's,
adults.
there's more than that.
Oh, okay.
30 to 40, maybe in the adult range of rainbows.
What? How do you
Um,
move that many babies? If you have 30 to
and
40
I
adults,
had a real bad year this year for rainbows. I don't think I don't hardly bred any this year. Just with the weather being so weird. But normally we get a couple hundred baby rainbows a year, anywhere from 150 to kind of 200 depending on the year. And
and you
yeah,
had
they
no
always,
issues moving them.
not at all.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive. That's
and
wow.
and even when you end up with 20 left over from the year before, they're just that much bigger, and people don't mind getting a slightly bigger rainbow that's already kind of coloring up a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And for keeping your rainbows, do you find that you're keeping the humidity much higher than other animals in there?
I mean, I always make sure they have a big soaking dish. You just can never dry out a rainbow. That's the biggest thing. Humidity. I mean, they get sprayed, once or twice a week. The cocoa holds a lot of humidity. Most of them are in PVC, which holds the humidity really, really good. But one thing that I do with my rainbows is I almost keep them like colubrids. And a lot of people keep rainbows just too hot. They think boa and it's got to be in the 90s. I mean, I think our hot spot on our rainbows is 87. Like we keep them almost like a colubrid. And I think that's where a lot of people fail, is they just keep them, too hot, and their the digestive system's just always on, overload. They digest really fast. They're always moving. It's just too warm for them. So I think it's one of those things where we need to start looking at our temperatures a little more with rainbows, and they're definitely more cooler than we did in the past.
No,
Very cool. Yeah, when I kept rainbows for, I don't know, probably about 4 or 5 years. Not Colombian, was it? No, it was Brazilians. Shan
Mhm.
bred them forever, right? And whenever he would get them, like he loved them, he would have always like one or two clutches. I guess you can't say a clutch, whatever, a litter those weird snakes that don't lay eggs. Um,
Right.
so I would get some and I'd keep it for 3 years and they'd be like, they just don't do it for me. And I'd push them back to them. I think I've had rainbows 2 or 3 times. And every time I got rid of them eventually. They're beautiful, but
Yeah.
never really did it for me. So let's go down the python. What pythons do you
Wait, you
wait?
need to.
What am I missing?
Sand boas, I
Yeah,
guess.
and
Oh,
you got Amazons too. But
Oh, there's
hit the
Amazons. Yeah,
Sambos
yeah.
first.
So, yeah, there's so much here. I even forget what's even here. Yeah, there's Amazons. There's tons of sandboas. There's tons of Amazons.
and do you breed your Amazons?
Did I bred them years ago and then got out of them because again they just weren't very popular. And a few years ago, I kind of bought babies again and been growing up like red calicos and stuff. So I, in the future, I think I'll have one pair ready this year. And then there's 6 or 8 or 9 more growing up for the future. So yeah, they're on the roster for sure.
So I've heard a lot of people talk about Amazons. They seem to be gaining in popularity for sure. Do
Yeah,
you mind going over which morphs you have and how you think they work? Because it's one of the things that I've always been very curious about. And it seems
yeah.
like
How they how
the
they work
mutations.
is how they work is real hard. I mean, I don't think people still really have a full handle on how they work, especially when you mix two things. They seem to do, something that you think is going to happen doesn't happen. So, I mean, there is some like calico stuff that's a little more, like cut and dry. You know what you're going to get, but a lot of them are still, you really don't know what colors or patterns you're going to get out of them, which makes them pretty cool and exciting. I've got mostly red calico stuff, and colored some tigers, some orange tigers and stuff. So, I mean, with the tigers, you kind of know what you're going to get. In the calicos, you know what you're going to get. But even that, I mean, even talking to Dawn, you breed two, what you think are going to be red calicos, you should get all red calicos, and then you don't. So, it's still a little bit, there's a question mark there. So, yeah, it's not really mapped out fully, that's for sure. So, but I love the Amazons. They're great. I find they handle really well. I mean, I can't have a bad reputation, I think, but I mean, I just reached in and grabbed one for you the other day. Like they're not really bitey and they are gaining, like you say, in popularity with all the different colors and patterns. So yeah, I'm hoping in the future they'll take off and people will appreciate how cool they are. That's for sure. Sandboas are another one. I love sandboas. I think they're underrated. So, the again, a million different colors and patterns.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
get very big. I mean, I know you love sandboas. Yeah,
Me
they're cool.
or Mike?
Mike. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
I know
gonna
I know
say.
you don't love sandboas. Yeah.
Just so we're clear, I love boas. I think boas are really, really cool. If I were to get boas, I'd probably get the equivalent of tree dwelling boas because anything arboreal is what catches my eyes, right? So
Right.
I'd probably be into Amazons and into basins, into emeralds, into maybe Cook's tree boas, maybe like anything that would hang on a perch or hang upside down, a skinny type body, long animal is probably what I would be into. Why do I not have any? Because I am not in a warehouse. I'm in a tiny room and I can only keep so much. And I have no idea how to breed boas. Like I'm sure I could figure it out, but it's just not my thing. So, you know, it's I don't hate boas. Now, that being said, a tiny little sand boa, probably not what I would get. But I mean, I keep little tiny pygmy pythons, which make no sense in what I love, right? To me, a pygmy python is like a sand boa, right? It's somewhat
It's smaller
similar.
than a sandboa.
Pardon me? They are smaller?
Smaller than a sandboa, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I'd be curious, how do you breed them? How do you take care of them? Maybe we can go quickly into that and what you keep exactly, what types of sand boas.
The Kenyans, yeah, again, lots growing up, lots of different morphs, splashes, and paints and things like that. I don't have a lot of adults that are, anything spectacular. A lot of hets, so a lot of normal-looking animals that are kind of double hets and things like that, aneries and stripes, and but yeah, they're just in a rack. I mean, they're so easy. I mean, you can almost keep them like a corn snake. They're in like an aspen shaving with a water bowl. Their temperature again is very similar. It's 87, 88 on the hot spot. I don't really, they don't need a ton of heat. Just perfect, just a perfect little snake that comes in a million different colors. When you do see them, that's the only drawback is,
Yeah.
you got to fish them out of the bedding to find them. But once you do find them, man, they're awesome. So cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. I find at night they'll be out at night kind of thing. So
Yeah.
if like they were my first snake. So if people don't necessarily, if your parents don't necessarily enjoy seeing snakes or your spouse, well, just have a tank full of aspen shavings, and at night you can go by and it might be out cruising around kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you just see its little head poking out, ready for food. So yeah, they're neat.
Yeah. Really cool.
If you handle them, they might actually be all right. But if you don't handle them, then you might get bit every time you pick them up.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
yeah.
So I've seen a couple of insanely round sand boas. Like I've seen some like almost as roundabout as like I'm gonna say a toonie for all the American. A toonie's a $2 bill. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you think?
That's accurate for a big female.
Are they supposed to get that big, or is that an obese?
Well, when they're gravid, they can be that big or even a little bigger. But
Bigger. Yeah.
When I think if they were like that and they were like not gravid, that'd probably mean they're a little fat. But for the most part, it's like any snake, right? Like they'll really thin out. Like the males, my male's pretty small. Like
they're so small compared to the females.
Like I just feed him like once a month kind of thing.
Yeah.
He goes off food during the breeding season.
You almost feel bad putting those males in there. I mean, they look like just little babies compared to the girls. So
they barely
always get the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep them in a 10-gallon basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about the size, my friend.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what all the girls tell me. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it for boas, actually. Yeah. Not too many boas here. There is a few just like common boa morphs. We got some IMG stuff and some VPI stuff, but I only have 4 of those animals in the shop just because they're so big. I mean, they need big cages, it takes up so much room. So
there's a couple big red tail skins hanging from the ceiling that are huge though.
You probably can't see.
Is that what that? Well, I can see something. I thought that was a 2x4, like the diagonal one.
Like that thing there.
Yeah, that was my oldest female red tail. She was just over 13 feet.
Damn.
And when she finally passed, I had her tanned. I just couldn't bring myself to throw her away or get rid of her. So
I had a friend who did all that with the skins, and he would do it himself, cut it, remove everything, and then use borax to remove all the leftover flesh on the skin and everything like that. It was really cool, actually. Like I thought it was really cool. I guess I didn't want to get it done for myself because I feel like, I don't know, like I don't want people to think like you're a poacher, you're killing the animals for no reason, right? And I know that's not what it is, right? And then again, it's like, what do we all do with our dead animals, right? Because let's be honest, when you have 1,000 animals, you probably have one animal that dies every month, right? It's just a numbers game. It's like your freezer fills up and eventually you got to bury them or you got to move them somehow, or you get that person that says, oh, can I have all your dead animals? Cause I like to get the skeletons out. Like I've donated bodies of animals to so many different reasons. So, and I there's nothing wrong with doing the skin. I think it's really cool. I don't know. I've always thought people would have like a negative feeling or things like, you just killed your animal for the skin. Like, cause when you see a leather shirt or you see like, cowboy boots made of snakeskin, you feel that animal was not killed in a humane manner. It was killed for those boots. Anyway, that's the way I feel.
Yeah. No, I can see that for sure. But yeah, as having that animal so long as a pet, I just couldn't bring myself to just dispose of it. So this was my way of kind of keeping her around. But yeah, I can definitely see both sides for sure. Not for everybody.
No, I hear you. Like I think we all have in our collection 1 or 2 animals that is not there to breed, is not there for anything. It's just there because it just has that feeling for you, or it's one of your first ones you've ever gotten, right? Like, I got rid of one of my first animals 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and that was tough for me. And right before we went on air, actually, we were talking about Jags, right? So my first really nice carpet python that I got was one from Dawn, which was an exanthic, pure exanthic caramel coastal jag. And that male has produced so many babies, so many litters. He's sired so many females, but eventually I just had to stop breeding him. And then I just kept him in my collection for another 5-6 years of him always being benched. I'm like, oh, maybe one day I'll need him. Maybe one day. And I just never repaired him because I was tired of breeding jags. But I think he was 11 or 12 years old, maybe a little bit older. And eventually I decided to move him, and that was really tough. And the reason I moved him was not because I didn't want to keep him anymore. It was purely because I have a very big space constraint. Like I can only keep so many animals. But I mean, if I talk to Shan, if I talk to you, Mike, I'm sure the same for Tyrone. We all have those couple of animals that we've kept forever that just will never ever move out. Like it's like your house pet, right? Like your house cat to a certain degree, or dog if you're a crazy dog person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there's always going to be favorites. That's for sure. I mean, even in the shop now, we're growing up a monitor as a kind of a shop pet. I mean, I still enjoy animals just for having the animal. I don't feel the need to breed, everything that I keep. It's nice to have just an interest in an animal and keep that animal, which is, a nice shift in the hobby. For a while it was, when somebody asks you about something, they always want, is you have a male and a female? Do you have a pair? It's nice when you get people that want just the animal because they love the animal and don't want a pair of everything. Just the love of the animal is something that we kind of got away from a little bit with, everybody wanted to be a breeder. And nobody wanted to be a hobbyist. Everybody had to be a breeder and have a logo and a Facebook page. And, it's nice for people just to keep animals because they love animals. So it's nice to see that once in a while still.
Oh yeah, I think doing the shows, like I see it too, where a lot of the people buying stuff now are buying it for a pet, or they have a collection, but like it's a random collection. So like they want a carpet python, and then they want their rainbow boa, and then they got their corn snake or their king snake, right? So it's definitely kind of going almost back to how it was, or maybe it never left that, but for us being in the hobby this deep, we definitely do see a lot of people, at least in the past, buying. Oh, I want to be a breeder now. I want to make a business out of it, and that's probably mostly from the ball python side of things. But nowadays, I think it's pivoting, and I think like having guys like Tyrone at our show in BC and his shows, it definitely helps kind of get that variety out there. So maybe let's hit on that, or actually let's hit on the pythons, and then after that we can talk about some of the other stuff Tyrone has going on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quickly. It's funny because when I started keeping snakes or keeping animals altogether, I've owned two ball pythons for about 10 years, and it was a male and a female, and I never put them together, ever even thought of putting them together. And that was the crazy thing, is that it wasn't even in your brain to breed when you first got into the animals. Like you would get all these animals, and I had a one-off of everything. I remember like I had one green tree python, I had one scrub python, I had one blood python, I had one African rock. I had just all these single animals of any random ass shit that it just didn't matter. Like it was just, I love this, I love this, I love this. And I kept that for so many years. And now you look at anybody coming, they have one animal. It's like, I need to pair it up. Everything needs to be about breeding now. I feel like you should learn to love and keep the animals before you jump to that step. And I mean, I think it took me 6, 7, 8, 10 years before I even started breeding. But I guess everything's different.
We used to call those Lemony Snicket's collections, where you had like the one onlys, which I love, right? Somebody's got a lizard and they got a frog and they got a snake and they got, that's great. I mean, you love all that stuff because you love it. You don't need to pair it up and breed it. Nothing wrong with breeding. I encourage breeders all the time, but I think there's a big value in having an animal and even for years, and really getting to understand and know the animal before you jump into the breeding thing. So there's a lot to be said for experience and just keeping animals, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think like I didn't breed until I had those sandboas for 6, 7 years until I finally bred them for the first time, kind of thing. So yeah, like I think taking your time like you did, and like lots of other people do, and then you eventually slowly start breeding, and then you trade some stuff for some other stuff and slowly build up your collection to a manageable stage and don't go overboard. I don't think that doesn't hurt anything at all, because all we're trying to do is feed our collection kind of thing, and maybe buy the next project. But yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's a lot of the times it's like, why are you breeding certain animals? Well, certain animals I'm breeding because I want to see what comes out next. And certain animals, well, they sell really well and they pay for my next thermostats that I need. And If they have a full clutch and I can sell 10 of those to get one animal I want, and I don't have to use real cash from my wallet, that's worth it for me.
Yeah,
exactly.
So Tyrone, let's go down the python route. What pythons do you keep?
Bloods, carpets,
Redline.
there's Brettles here. There's white lips, womas. What's this?
Angolans.
Yeah, the Angolans from you.
You have any matchbox or anything, or no?
No,
Those
I mean,
ones?
we once in a while we get Max and Waters and stuff just for sale that are kind of in and out the door, but nothing that's growing up to stay here. That might be it actually for pythons.
Pretty sure I could
Nothing
guess
else.
who those
Yeah, there's some ball
Matchlocks.
pythons here. Yeah, there's some ball pythons. Yeah, yeah, some breeding project ball pythons, just kind of normal, stuff, bells and albinos and stuff like that. And have a big Volta female, which we really like. It's nice seeing a normal looking
That's
giant ball
the
python.
that's the
Yeah, it's not
locality ball
locality.
python, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a big girl.
Yeah. It's impressive
cool.
to see like just a normal looking, proper ball python, what they should look like. So
How long is it? Over 5 feet?
yeah, I would say probably almost 6.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
kind of cool, actually.
It's bigger than your Angolan female, I think. Like,
Oh, yeah, for
thicker
sure, yeah.
and a bit longer.
Yeah.
So let's go down the Angolans. What are you doing this year for them? Are you planning on breeding them?
I don't know. I was you said you paired one last year, so it's one that didn't go?
So my experience with Angolans, I've bred them. I think we've bred them a total of 3 times, and this is the 2 of them together, right? So, and I have never ever had a female go year after year, ever.
Right.
Okay. So the girl that went last year is the smaller girl.
Right.
So I would still pair them both. So every year we've always paired them both together, and it's always been the different girl. So technically this year would be the big girl that would be ready to go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a thing. Like I would talk to other Angolan breeder. I'll be honest. I was never on the Facebook groups for Angolan pythons and all those kind of things. But from my experience, I've never ever had them go 2 years in a row. So I don't know if that's actually a thing and I was still breeding them. I was still pairing them and they were locking up every year. So that male will lock up with both and there's still only one that'll go each year. So, and I would breed him the exact same way I breed carpet python. I would stop feeding him. I would lower them. Then I'd bring them back up and pair them and the exact same, like the typical python breeding schedule.
I mean, it's nice to have them alternate as well, that they're both, not going, and then they can, you can have a little bit every year instead of all at once. So yeah, I'd probably just do the one girl this year. That's probably the plan with those. I'll try some Momas, try some Bloods, try some carpets this year.
What type of womas do you have? Just typical womas, or do you have actual locality?
Typical Momas, yeah. It's all it's Dawn stock, but yeah, it's just normal.
I think Don had red line womas is what he called them. Do you have any of those?
Not what I mean, maybe when they were babies, certainly not anymore that they're adults. I mean, a lot of them lose that, and these are no different than that. They just look pretty normal at this point. There's one pair that I have that would be more of like a silver line, I would consider, and then more of a taupey brown. So, but they're certainly not red by any means. But again, maybe the babies look, and I did produce babies last year, and they do look quite red. But I mean, obviously that's probably not going to stay until adulthood.
So a couple of things with womas that I'd love to hit on. Number one, next time you produce them, if you can guarantee me a female, I'd love to have one. The reason I'm saying that is every time Shan breeds them, he only has males. Every female turns out male, and I have never been able to own a female woma in the past 6 years, and I've owned about 5 now, and all my females turn out male.
And last year I think I had 2 males and the rest were all girls. I was so female heavy. Yeah.
Go figure.
I probably even had some in Toronto when you were down there. Like,
I think you had one.
Maybe one left. One girl.
Yeah. I think it's sold in BC too, maybe.
I wanted to go down the incubation. So I found that from talking to Shan, because I actually have not bred womas, but the incubation seems to be a little bit different. I'm just curious how you do it, if you've had any issues with woma eggs compared to other python
No, and
eggs.
I've not done it a ton, only a couple times, but definitely very humidity sensitive. So it's one of those ones that needs to be dry. So we don't oversaturate the vermiculite, that's for sure. And they need to be done on an egg crate instead of sitting right in the vermiculite. So yeah, little more humidity sensitive, that's for sure. Those eggs can rot pretty quick. So yeah, we always keep an eye on that. Lots of airflow in the lids and not right on the substrate, where a lot of the other stuff, blood python eggs and stuff like that, I mean, sink right down into the vermiculite, no issues. But womas definitely need it more dry, that's for sure. And they don't like water. You can't ever have condensation in the tub raining down on them, so you need a lot of ventilation in the tub. So yeah, that seems to be important for them.
So you go a little lighter with the mixture when you put it together. Because I do. One of my buddies gave me like a good ratio of weight for the perlite, at least. Do like a 1-to-1 weight ratio with it, so it keeps it on like the bit of the drier side, especially for like the Trans-Pecos.
Yeah, and I've never been a measurement guy for ratios for bloods and everything else. I mean, I just spray it till I can clump it, and then put the eggs in there, and I'm done. Throw it in the box. But with womas, yeah, I mean, it was kind of a mist, and then as long as it didn't clump the vermiculite, but it was humid. That was what I went for, and it has worked out. But yeah, very humidity sensitive, the eggs, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So since we're talking about incubation, you've got multiple different species, and they don't all incubate at the same temperature. So do you have a few different incubators? Do you do colubrids just on putting them on top of the shelf and forget about them? How are you doing all that?
I've got an incubator for colubrids. I've got 2 big 4-foot Cornell's World incubators, one for pythons and then one for colubrids. So there's some colubrids that like it a little cooler than other colubrids, so I keep them at the bottom of the incubator, and then I kind of set it around 83 for colubrids. So if there's some that like it, really low 80s, they go at the bottom. The ones that can take a little more heat go to the top. So I kind of play with it that way. But yeah, two different incubators. And that seems to get me by, that's for sure.
And when you say Cornell Worlds incubators, for the people who don't actually know what that is, what is that? Is that a fridge? Is that a PVC box? What are we?
Right, yeah, it's a PVC box. It's this big one. It says 4 foot. I think it's 4 foot by 4 foot by 18 inches deep. Greg,
is there insulation in there? Or is it just a PVC?
No, just the PVC. There's fans that circulate the air, and then there's heat tape. So the fans kind of move the temperature around, and yeah, they're really, really good. Like, they work really, really well.
And what's the front like? Is it a glass front?
Exactly. Yeah, 2 big sliding glass doors.
Interesting. And they're stable, no issues whatsoever?
No issues. I've used them for years.
I'm just purely curious, because to me, PVC is not the greatest insulator. Like, it's good, but I'd be curious to see, do you have any standing water or anything like that to try to use as like a buffer? You know what I mean?
The bottom, depending on how much humidity I want to achieve, I've got open containers in the bottom, which I fill with water to kind of keep some humidity in there. The womas I always did kind of up towards the fans to kind of keep them in the airflow a little more. So yeah, it just kind of depends what you're incubating is kind of what the blood pythons can go down lower where it's more humid. Being swamp snakes, I mean, you can those things can be almost wet and they hatch out.
So just to go one second, so I use water in the incubator purely as a stabilizer, right? The more water you have, water keeps heat. You can close the door. It kind of stabilizes it. It's a buffer. Now I'm trying to figure out, you're saying you have water, but the water is open. So you're creating humidity inside your incubator and inside your egg box. Is that correct? Or is your incubator dry?
Because this particular incubator has got 3 fans and it moves a lot of air. Some of the other ones, like guys use mini fridges and things like that, then just use heat tape. There's no real airflow. They don't have fans in there, so they don't need extra humidity. What's in the box stays there really, really well. But these ones, because they move so much air to keep the temperature stable, it can almost dry things out if you're not kind of focused on what you're doing. So we use the standing water on the bottom to kind of offset that.
Is there any air vents in the back, or is it just the glass panes kind of thing?
There's a little bit of gap between the panes, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah, they work really, really well. But again, you got to pay attention to, some stuff like some more dry, some stuff like some more wet. So, you gotta play with it. That's for sure.
No, I hear you. I'll be honest, I've never ever owned an incubator that was store bought. So, oh, that's not true. I owned a Hovabator back in the 90s,
Yeah,
but that
yeah,
doesn't count.
yeah. We've all
uh,
used those. Yeah,
so I use a Coke fridge for all intents and purpose, like the actual
yeah,
store Coke fridge that's a full size. I had the one that had the fan, the condenser all on the top, so I literally removed it, and I have a perfect box.
yeah,
I do have a fan in there. I put the fan on top, and the idea is just to push the hot air down.
yeah. Exactly.
And I use a um, the Sterilite box that you use for rack that are probably about, I don't know, 42 gallons. I don't know, the medium size ones that you would keep like corn snakes or things like that in. So I keep that one at the bottom because it fits perfectly in there. And that one is filled with water. And it's
Hmm.
purely, but it's closed. It's purely just as a stabilizer for heat. And I figure if ever I lose power and I don't have anything to fix it, just the heat of that water will keep dissipating and keep the temperature. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I didn't even know Greg or Cornell World, sorry, had incubators for sale. I think it's really cool. Especially the idea that you could do it with PVC and it holds heat well. I'd be curious to try it, but
Yeah, they're definitely easier to move around than a big freezer.
oh fuck yeah, that
Yeah,
incubator weighs like
you have to go
300
digging on the
pounds.
street to find all the goodies. Greg has a lot more than you think he has, but yeah, it's
Yeah, he's got 3 different sizes, and of course you can make some custom size as well. But I've always just bought the big ones because we, producing a lot of eggs. So
yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few. Like I've heard other people use different companies. Like they're all the same product in the end, kind of thing. And in terms of having the PVC and that, and all those incubators are known to do well. So yeah, PVC as using it for an incubator has definitely been trusted by a lot of top of the line breeders.
So talk about incubators. You've got tons of cages and your incubator. So I want to go down the thermostat real quickly. What do you use in everywhere? What is your go-to and why? Because I think there's 3 brands that are mainly people use. Which one do you use?
I've got a little bit of everything at the shop. I got some herb stats. I've had some of the channels fail on herb stats over the years, so I'm not as stoked on them as I used to be. The more crap they put in there, the more that can go wrong. So for years, I was a Helix guy. My whole shop ran on Helix for probably the better part of 20 years because they're just so simple. They
I think I
never
have
provoke
one
you.
Helix left. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and they're great. I mean, for the stuff that doesn't need anything fancy, you set the temperature on those things and you forget it. They're good for 500 watts and they're solid. And I use those for forever. So I've still got a ton of Helixes here that I bought forever ago. Now, once they go, because Helix is no more, they shut down. They're done, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I've got a little bit of everything here. I'm not really loyal to one thing. I'm try different things every now and then and whatever works. But I really like simpler. I don't like, putting a million different options in, it's just more things to go wrong. So I like simple stuff.
Yeah, because you also have some vivarium electronics you
Yeah,
can
there's some
stick.
variable electronics ones here and they're okay. They've been fine too. The 200s and the 300s, they've been all right. There's still some herb stats in here, some pros and things like that. So, and there's still run helixes too. So yeah, there's a little bit of everything. I think there's some spider ones. We used Johnson controls for a lot of years. They were real simple too, just kind of off on proportional. Nothing fancy, no nitrops or nothing like that. So yeah, I like simple. When you have this much stuff, you can overcomplicate things real fast. So I like to be able to just look real quick, see what it's doing, if it's working, not working, and so
I was gonna say, if you like more the plain, I find the Vivarium electronics are much less options and much more plain. I use them for actually my incubator for some reason has been on a VE forever because it's the one and only VE I have. And you know what? It's the same VE I've had for probably about 8 or 9 years and it's still working. So that one stays there. But all my room is, I'd say not all, 90% of my room now is on herb stats. The only thing I don't like about herb stats is I've got one spider web, I've got a lot of new ones, and I've got some older ones, and the programming isn't the same depending on the year or the model, and I find that really annoying. Like I've got an old Herbstat 2, but when you click the button, you got to wait 5 seconds, then it changes screens. That if that's not what you want to wait, you got to wait another 5 seconds, it changes screens. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, it's so annoying. You're muted, Tyrone. And I find that so annoying. And other ones, it's like when you can just go in the menu and click everything. So I like that, but I wish they were all the same year and the same type so I could scroll down and know how they work. Because like once a week, I'm changing everything down 3 degrees at night. I'm like, oh, how does this one work? How does that one work? So, and they're all herp stats, but they don't all work the same way. So it's something like buying used. I don't buy used anymore because I don't want to use the old programming, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. I like playing with the systems a little more with my herp stats, but that it's kind of how everybody likes to use the tools that they have there that you can choose from, right? That's why everybody's collection is different, right? Some guys do something one way, other guys breed the same thing, have the same success, but they do it a totally different way. So it's the way the way of your room kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's always fun to learn how other people run their collections and that. So do we want to? You breed a lot of blood pythons. Maybe we want to hit on some of that stuff that you got.
Yeah, lots of bloods too. I love bloods. They're another one in Canada that, just like the carpets, they're not for everybody, but, especially with the size of them and sometimes the temperament. I mean, most of mine are pretty good, but they're not for everybody. That's for sure. So you're limited to how many you should produce in Canada. That's for sure. We kind of have a roster where we, just this year we're going to do these 2 or 3 females, and next year we'll do these 2 or 3 females. So we're not producing a million blood pythons to flood the market. So that can, a little goes a long way. They're not for everybody, but they've always been one of my favorites. I love bloods. And a million colors and patterns too. Like, you can't go, there's white and red and stripes and not stripes. And I mean, there's just everything. So they're another one of my favorites. I mean, I really, really, especially you get a good tempered, blood. I mean, they're just awesome pets. But they're big, so not everybody wants a big snake like that. So it's, not for everybody. That's for sure.
And do you mind going over what type of bloods? Because I think there's 3 different species, right? There's blacks, there's Sumatrans, and what's the other one?
Borneos.
Borneos. There you go.
Or no, so Sumatrans.
Borneo short tails.
Yeah, and then Sumatrans are blacks, and then there's also the orange head Sumatrans, which are like the northern subspecies or like phenotype kind of thing. So yeah,
and I don't do any of that kind of stuff. No Borneos, no Sumatrans. It's just bloods. So I've kind of limited myself to just that one and get morphs within that.
Yeah, what morphs do you got?
And how many?
Golden eyes, T positives, T negatives, batiks, ivories, matrix, lots of het stuff that's kind of coming up that we don't want to discuss quite yet, but lots of stuff coming and growing up that's cool. Yeah, what else is here?
Magpies.
Yeah, there's some mags. I did mags to mags this year and just got a clutch of mags, which I really, really like. I love mag stuff.
And that's is that a Matrix 007 or
it's a super 007.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, 007 and 007 it gives you a mag. So yeah.
Oh yeah, because Matrix to Matrix is the ivory, right?
Exactly.
And then what's a Matrix to 007? Is that
that's a golden eye.
Oh,
in there, yeah. There's so many cool ones.
I was gonna say you'd have to learn the whole terminology here. I'm listening to you guys going.
Yeah, and the 2 different lines of albinos, the T negatives and the T positives. I mean, they both have their, T negatives are no melanin at all. So, that's your real red and white kind of stuff. Or the other ones are a little more caramelly, the T positives. But depending on what you mix them with, they both do really cool things. So, yeah, something for everybody with bloods, that's for sure. But they've always wanted. I probably had bloods in my collection for 25 years. Like, I absolutely love them.
So real quickly, I've heard that there is a gene the equivalent to the jag of the coastal carpet in bloods. Is that right? Is there one that is like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
No?
Not in a blood.
No? Okay, then I'm wrong. And the second thing is I'd love to get into the, how do you keep them? And maybe you just like the real quick breeding process. Are you breeding them like any other python, or
Yeah, basically like a ball python. There's nothing real tricky with it's having your animals identified correctly, male and female, and putting them together. Like we don't night
so
drop
there's
them.
no
We don't.
cycling, there's nothing?
No, not at
Huh.
all. They just go together and do their thing. They're not hard to breed. I mean,
They probably
just
get like a subtle, like they can kind of feel the seasons change to an extent,
yeah,
but
and
not.
we might spray them a little more to kind of maybe simulate a rating season. We might spray them a little more before we put them together. But I mean, nothing.
Yeah,
There's certainly no big trick. That's
yeah.
for sure. It's
Whatever,
a blood python.
whatever the room kind of shifts to throughout the year, that's what they got.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, they're real cool. Yeah.
and clutch size, like on a big girl that's let's say 6 feet and the size of your thigh around, how many eggs are you getting?
At 25, it's kind of 12 to 25 depending on the female, which is enough for the Canadian market, because there's a handful of guys that breed bloods in Canada, and that's kind of enough for the market. So
As I say, I think I can name like 3 or 4 that are breeding
yeah,
bloods
and
right
that's
now.
and that's enough to kind of satisfy the market. That's for sure. There's it's just like carpets. I mean, you kind of hit a limit of, you're always hoping new people come in and pick it up and gain interest, but you're only going to sell so many on the day. So
And egg size. So if I'm going pygmy python, then I'm going carpet python, then I'm going ball python, then I'm going Angolan pythons. Where do the eggs fit in there?
I would say somewhere Angolan-ish or bigger.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, they're big.
Angolan python eggs are ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
it is the biggest egg. No, that's not true. Retic eggs are pretty damn big too,
Right.
and all that. But they're huge.
They're huge.
Like,
Yeah. Big eggs.
okay,
Yeah.
big.
Big old marshmallows. Yeah.
So then the babies come out when they're born, and they can pretty much take down like a hopper to adult mice.
Yeah. Almost an adult right off the bat. Yeah. For sure. A large hopper.
That's just too easy.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. And most of the time they eat really well, frozen thawed right off the bat. And yeah, they're good.
Very nice. So I think I heard in the background that you've bred white lips. Is there any truth to that, or is Michael full of shit
Yeah,
like usual?
years ago. I think it was the first time I bred white lips was I'd have to go back and look, 2003 maybe. Um, and honestly, I sold them for, at the time, I priced them high at $250,
Wow.
and you couldn't, I couldn't give them away. Took me months. I mean, just nobody cared. I mean, it was all about, that was the kind of the beginning, I guess, of the ball python craze, and everybody was kind of getting out of the oddball stuff. It all just kind of got pushed aside, and just nobody cared.
And were they blacks or golds? And
They were golds. Yeah, golds.
golds. Take me into like, how did you do it? How'd you all wild caughts, I imagine?
It was LTCs. Yeah, it was stuff that I don't know, maybe was in the wild, in captivity for 6 years, kind of before they bred. They came in as pretty youngsters, and then kind of grew up with a buddy of mine, and then I got him and bred him. But I just kind of cycled them like everybody else. Like, that wasn't a big. I really didn't do anything that different. I think it was just about having them the right age. They were probably close to 7 at the time, and them being comfortable. They were still a little spazzy. I'm growing up another pair now that are really crazy tame. Like, it's unbelievable. And these were captive bred in the U.S. apparently. They certainly handle like it. I'm hoping that
Do you know who
that
they're from?
temperament passes on through the generations. But yeah, there was no big trick to them either. I mean, we did kind of a rainy season as well, a slight night drop, and put them together, and we had 10 eggs and 10 hatch out, and they were perfect babies.
How big of a cage did you have them set up, and what did that setup look like?
Very simple back in the day. I mean, I'm definitely now I do a lot more, interesting substrates and big cocoa branches and things. Back then, it was very. I think they were even on pine shavings, believe it or not. So it was pine shavings and a water bowl. Back in the day, like, it was just super super simple, and they bred. Sprayed them once in a while, but it was very very simple. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's guys like Chris Montross bred red white lips in that time period, or even a little earlier, and I'm pretty sure he said the same thing, that they're hard to sell, but they weren't actually that hard. Like you get the long-term wild costs that you raise up from. Were they juveniles when you got them, or
Very young.
okay?
Yeah, very young. Not babies, but I mean in that juvenile range too, where they were probably eating like a large fuzzy
Okay,
mouse.
yeah,
They're small. Yeah.
yeah. I've seen Cody
So
Joe's babies this year.
yeah.
It's like, okay, so yeah, they are small
Yeah,
when they
they're
hatch
thin
out.
for sure. Yeah, they're little shoestrings, that's for sure. Yeah. They eat good. They all eat really well.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, so and then I got rid of them just because I love them, but I mean I can't keep breeding stuff that the public doesn't want. So, my collection has gone through kind of stages over the years as a business where I have to kind of always retool a little bit to keep selling the things that people want. I mean, it's great that I love it and breed it, but if it just sits in the rack, then there's no benefit. So, um yeah, got rid of them. Um and then regretted it years later. So now I hear him again, growing them up again. Because
yeah,
now we're seeing again, it's come around where, the ball pythons are a little more stagnant in the market. They're kind of sitting longer than they ever have before, probably. And people are looking at other projects. They're looking at just interesting colubrids and different boas and pythons. And that's kind of the focus now, setting up real nice natural environments. And so yeah, now I think we're probably to the point where they would sell again if I bred them. But back then it just wasn't a thing. I'd say as I bred Haitian boas one time
oh
too,
yeah,
and I mean, forget about it. I mean, nobody cared at all. So, I mean, I got rid of those. Just there was no interest from the public in those. Maybe if I was in a different part of the world, maybe if it was in the U.S. or something, it would have been.
but even then,
But
like
here,
Haitians are Dominicans. They're just like that. The more kind of bland color, like the Dominican reds are the bright red ones, but
mhm.
they're the same species. Hey, if you hear somebody refer to Haitians and Dominicans, it's the same animal. But yeah,
Yeah.
like back then they probably did you get yours wild caught or were
Oh
they?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because Dominican was open for export like
yeah,
up into in the last 20 years, I believe,
yeah.
because you
You were
could still
you were
get.
getting them out of a bag, pulling the ticks off,
Oh yeah,
and then again keeping them for a couple of years till they were comfortable and settled in, and then putting them together. Those babies were tiny, man. They were just like little noodles. Yeah, I had to force feed pinky heads on those things for probably 6-7 months before they took food on their own. It was just so labor intensive, and then after all of that to establish babies, and then nobody caring really, it was just like, I'm not doing this again. Like I just so much work for the outcome. So again, just kind of retool, right? Okay, well, push those to the side. Those didn't, try something else that maybe somebody will want. So
oh for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool hearing guys like we talked to, like Pierce and that back in the day. Oh yeah, we had Bahamian boas and all this weird, funky wild caught stuff from the Caribbean and from even South America and Asia that like doesn't come in anymore. That used to be super common, not common anymore.
Yeah.
Like even African shipments now are yeah, you get the savannas and the white throat still and ball pythons sometimes, but like it's none of the cool like South African stuff or some of that funky weird stuff, right? Like
Yeah, I'll grab that white lip real quick and show you.
oh yeah, gonna go do a little show and tell now. 'Cause we can pull stuff out too if you want to see anything. You gonna grab the white lip?
I'll definitely look at the white lip. Uh, remind me a bit again, is the black ones are the more expensive ones, right? They're the ones that
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, these are the captive bred ones from the US. And I mean, and they handle not head shy.
So there's only been a few people that have captive bred them in the US. Do you know who they're from?
No. And that's why I put it in air quotes when I say captive bred, because I don't know 100%.
So the only captive bred white lips that I know that have come from US is Lisa Farina's have brought some in.
Those are black.
Those are blacks.
Okay. So those are
so
Quite a few people have done the golds.
yeah.
And they're not scarred up. They're not nicked. The temperament's great. So I do believe they are captive bred, but I mean, they're just so good. Like,
yeah, they could be
Yeah.
from William, right?
Yeah.
William bred them. Owen bred
Yeah.
his northern. So and there's actually I think they went through a few years in the US where there was several people every year kind of producing them
Yeah.
periodically. So
Yeah.
it could be one of those guys, but
So we'll give them a go again now that there's interest in the different stuff. We'll give them a go. A few more years to grow them up, but we're getting there.
Yeah,
I'd
'cause
be curious
you've
to.
gotten some other bigger animals too in the past that you kind of had and then let them go again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, white lips are definitely on my short list of things I want to get.
Yeah.
If we're still kind of working on importing, and if so, white lips are definitely on there because
Yeah.
they are surprisingly cheap to import, like
Yeah.
ridiculously cheap to import. So
Yeah.
I'd love to try to get my hand on that. I'm just curious if there's anybody still in the chat. How do you guys see the white lip? Because to me, I'm looking at the snake and it's a little bit blurry that I mean, I see a snake, but like I can't tell exactly the
On our
quality.
side, it looks good, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
might be a little blurry.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to
Yeah.
say.
The
Like
show and tell doesn't always translate on these little cameras, but
yeah.
yeah.
it's nice and like my side is clear, but your side is not as clear.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah. Yeah. I can always put in pictures
Yeah,
for
we can.
the thumbnail later
Yeah,
or
exactly.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It most
But yeah,
likely
still
is
one
clear
of
though.
one of the favorites anyway. So that was cool project.
Yeah. I think the turtles want to eat the white lip because all four of them are now at the front of the glass behind the computer here, seeing what's going on.
Where do you want to go down? What do you want to talk about, Mike? Do you want to go down the colorbrid route or
Yeah,
talk a
we
bit about that?
haven't even touched colubras yet.
Well,
What
so
colubrid
I'm gonna
projects
get. I was gonna say you
want
go
me to
for it. It's all you.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, so what colubrid projects do you have going on currently? Like what's kind of your focus right now?
For the bigger guys, the cave dwelling rats, are always a shop favorite. They're really cool. For a bigger colubrid, pines, we got the black pines and some southern pines. Some leucistics and some albinos. Last year we did a pairing with a leucistic and an albino to make some double hets. They all came out hypo, so technically they're hypo double hets. So we're growing a group of them up to kind of see what's going to happen with those in the future. Corns, kings, milks, nothing real crazy colubrid wise.
Yeah. What type of kings and milks?
MBKs and cow kings. Milks are albino Nelsons, splotched Nelsons, and some Sinaloans. I've cut back a lot of the Hondos because that's kind of seemed to have a bit of a downturn with the bigger colubrids. We're seeing, I think, a lot of people want the smaller stuff. The blue-eyed house snakes.
Oh yeah,
are always a favorite. People are really digging those
black
still.
milks too.
Black milks I'm going to give this year off because
Okay.
we did them last year. But yeah, they're always a favorite as well.
Yeah.
For a big.
I think they're the best pet snake, I believe.
Right. Yeah. Big. They eat all the time. Best of both worlds. You get the tricolor look when they're little, to this big black confident animal that eats, that doesn't bite. And so you get everything that's cool about a Mexican black with bigger size and doesn't try to chew on you when you take it out.
Exactly. And you can just keep it ambient.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably it for colubrids, honestly.
Yeah, you got tons of corn morphs. So like, what are some of the corn morphs you got?
Lots of pied kind of combos. There's a few scaleless in there. We didn't go too heavy on the scaleless. They're not for everybody. The people that like scaleless really like them, and there's still a lot of purists that are not into that thing. So we didn't go crazy with those, but lots of pied stuff, fire pieds and
Oh yeah,
caramel pieds. Lots of good pied combos. Some palmetto stuff, just kind of and right down to normal stuff, amels and anneries and snows and. I really like salmon snows. I've got a bunch of salmon snows that are real nice. So I still really love corns.
Yeah, you went hard into you picked up a bunch of candy cane stuff too.
Yeah.
Those are growing up.
When it comes to corn snakes, a lot of the lower end corn snakes, right, are worth what, like $30-$40, right? They're in the lower price range.
I even sell my normals are 85. I don't sell anything less than 85 and that's a normal. And then we go up from there. I really have a tough time selling snakes that are under $100 because I really, it comes back to that disposable mentality where if people don't pay at least a decent amount of money for something, they're not going to take care of it. Which is why we don't carry with the wholesale anything cheap and disposable, the wild caught anoles and grass lizards and things like that, because it's just disposable, and people just don't, if they don't pay a decent amount of money for it, they don't want to take care of it, and I just don't want to contribute to that problem. So it has to I like something to have at least a little bit of a value, and then people want to take care of it and put the money in the environment and the tank and things like that. But the real disposable stuff, I'm not really interested in dealing with.
So 100% agree. And the reason I was going to go there is because you sell, you retail as well, right? So I was more trying to figure out the how do you sell an animal if it is that cheap and still make a profit? Because the problem is, as soon as you get it, you got to house it, you got to feed it, and right there, you're pretty much right away losing money. So I was going to ask you, what's the minimum price you start selling animals to actually be able to say yes, it's profitable? Because let's be honest, if that's your career, that's your life. You can't sell $30 animals because there's no way for you to make a profit on a $30 animal, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's just more about the life of the animal, really. I mean, it's like all the stuff we used to bring in wild caught back in the day. Like if what's an example? Like a Spider-Man agamas or redhead agamas or any of those cheap $19 lizards. I mean, where are they now? They came in by the millions, and they're just not around. So
Savannah monitors.
yeah, it's just that stuff that it's just not valuable enough for people to take care of. So, and if there's no value in it, then they're not going to take it to the vet, and they're not going to set up the prop of their house, and they're not going to spend $150 on a UV setup because the animal is only worth $40. So yeah, I just don't deal with any of that stuff that's disposable. That's one part of the hobby where I've really backed away from. Um, and that's one of the areas where I think with the shows and things like that, and other groups kind of trying to police us and things that we really need to look at. More is should we be bringing in that stuff that's on more of the disposable side that's not been established in captivity. To me, I mean, if it's been brought in for 20 years and it's not established in captivity yet, it's not going to be. Nobody has put the effort in. Stop bringing it in. So I don't know. That's where I'm at on that kind of cheaper stuff.
no, I hear you. The only thing is, I'd say, like, I hear of people like importing toka geckos, which now it is somewhat established, but people still bring them in because they want different lines, they want different bloodlines, and a toka gecko is still like a $15 import. I think it's like you can get a
And I guess my argument to that would be they are being captive bred, so people can add them to colonies. Where the other stuff, maybe like red-headed gammas and things like that, people aren't breeding them at all. So if it's not been bred at all, or can't be done, or we haven't figured it out, or they're dying too soon, or whatever the case may be, why are we still bringing them in? So that's where kind of was going with that. Now there are exceptions to that, where, like you say, I mean, people are white lips. You bring in imports and things like that, where people still do take care of them and want to establish them, and they are being bred in captivity. But that's certainly not all animals we bring in. So I think it needs a closer look. That's for sure.
see if I brought back the argument to green tree pythons. They're bred a lot, but you know what the problem is? If you want pures, they're really, really hard to get. And to me, there's a reason why there's still people importing them, because you know what? You look at everything that's being produced in Canada. There's some that could be considered pure, but I don't even know if I trust it. I think you're better off to just get wild caughts. And if you actually just want pure animals, that's the one way to guarantee it. And certain animals are so crossed or mixed that it's really hard to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Some stuff you're
That's-
absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely tough with the green trees because
And that is if you believe it's actually what it is as it's labeled on the list. Because I mean, we all have seen that over years where, I mean, they'll put a label on it to make a sale, and you don't know if that's what that actual animal is.
yeah, like Maruki is just a place that they ship it out of. They collect it like 100 miles away, kind of thing, right? So it's knowing some of that stuff that it might be. And then like the thing is, like, even like these animals, like the pythons, I'm pretty sure they're all, at least some of them are all supposed to be F2 generation captive bred for imports, is legally what they should be because of CITES. And now actually toka geckos are CITES. You can still bring them in, but now there's some extra paperwork you got to fill out. There's now a quota that you can't really go over. You have to ask for more kind of thing, and you have to prove that you're breeding them, or however CITES wants you to do it, or what Indo specifically wants, right? Because sometimes it's like, I know the US specifically wants they have to be captive bred, or say Indo says, well, you can't even collect this anymore. You must breed this yourself through breeding stock, and you can only, as I think Chris Applin even explained on MJ's podcast, you can replace your breeding stock, but you cannot sell that breeding stock kind of thing. And even more recently, CITES is checking these farms a lot more and making sure they're keeping up on their paperwork and that. So yeah, but even then, like, it's like it is still a risk, because it's a risk buying from anybody. In like, if you are wanting your collection to be super clean and stuff, you've got to do your homework and do your vet checks and that. So yeah, it's definitely tough with buying stuff for imports. So yeah, like, you gotta, and I think it is good to still have some imports, but like Ty says, if you're only doing it just to resell it to some random guy, like, it should honestly only be imported in a batch of 20 or 30 to several breeders who want to establish them. You still might lose a couple, even if they are captive bred, because that shipping from Indo to here is still super stressful, and stuff gets dehydrated because they got boxed up, and then maybe they sat on the tarmac for a little bit, and then they had to wait through customs because something went wrong, right? Like, that's all stuff that nobody can control.
Well, we hear all the time about, they were supposed to ship on Friday and arrive Saturday, and they got bumped off that flight. Well, you can't tell me that at the airport, if they got bumped, those guys took those boxes back, unpacked everything, put everything back in cages, make sure they had water. No, they just sit at the airport until they're ready to go. That may be an extra day, maybe an extra 2 days. I mean, it's all extra time in the box. So I mean, it's a stressful operation, that's for sure.
Yeah. And we also got to remember that these importers that are bringing these animals in for, technically on our behalf. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It's just us now.
Uh-oh. We're all alone. Yeah, I think with these importers, they're bringing this stuff in technically on our behalf, on pet stores' behalfs. Like, you want these animals specifically from Indo, you gotta, like, it's not like there are some good importers and exporters, but they're doing it for us kind of thing. So crapping on them and stuff is not necessarily the right way to go about things, especially if they are trying, right? Like, yeah, you get an animal that's dehydrated, and maybe they tried to rehydrate it, but it's honestly better the less time they spend at anybody's house and the quicker they get into your collection. Like, I know personally, if I were to get wild caught stuff, I'd I'd rather you just box it up and ship it straight to me, just so it gets that over with, and then I can just decompress, and then
Yeah,
kinda,
the less hands, the better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what Dominic said. Oh, he's trying to reconnect, so he should hopefully hop in here in a sec. So yeah, it looks like we still got some people in the chat. Oh, we got Greg.
Greg's in the chat.
Yeah, our connection, we're a bit blurry, but yeah, I think, yeah, that should be all right as long as we sound okay. But how do we sound, Greg? See how long it takes him to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of cool stuff here. Yeah, you got I think he has 3 tokay tanks here with groups of tokay geckos, so that's pretty cool. Well, there we go. Better now. Okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
We lost you.
All good.
I thought you guys just stopped talking. I'm like, oh no, they froze, and then I'm looking at it. I guess
No.
it was me.
Technology.
Yeah, it's all good.
Wonderful.
Which is weird because I'm connected with a direct Ethernet line, and for some reason it would connect. I just put it on Wi-Fi, and now I'm on Wi-Fi. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
It happened.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
These technical difficulties happen. But yeah.
Make it more fun,
Yeah.
right?
Alrighty, what do we want to hit on now since we did the whole import rant?
Actually, I wanted to ask: do you bring in any wild caughts at all, Tyrone, or are you all captive bred?
Not anymore. We stopped a few years ago. Trying to think of the last time I brought something in that was. We brought in some black throats actually this year through Canadian Cold Blood, and they were farmed babies. But that's the only thing that's really been brought in that's that's not been captive bred in quite some time. I don't remember the last time I brought in a wild caught snake. Yeah, it's been a lot of years.
So
It
everything
was
you
a while
sell,
where we did, kind of Indo imports kind of every year with everybody else, and brought in the variety. And with that comes, there was always substitution problems. You'd order, something, and then they didn't have that, and would send you a bunch of other stuff. And there was always things you had to deal with. So we kind of backed away from it for no other reason than as a business. Sometimes you're waiting the better part of a year for your order. You put in your money, and you're just hoping you get what you get, and it's in good shape, and that money is tied up for the better part of a year, where I can buy locally captive bred animals and turn them over quicker than having that money sit out there for months at a time, hoping that it's going to come in right and in good shape. So yeah, we just kind of stopped doing it. I mean, I don't begrudge anybody that does do it. I mean, but yeah, we just found kind of other ways to do things. But we did for a lot of years. And sometimes it works out great and your shipment is fantastic. And other times it's, you lose. It's a gamble. So, but yeah, nothing really wild caught for quite some time.
What's the coolest thing that you've brought in wild caught though? Anything ring a bell that was super interesting that you've never seen again, and anything like that?
Hmm. I mean, back in the day when we were allowed to have them, I brought in some spilotes, some
Okay.
tiger rats, and I ordered them from Strictly Reptile back in the day, and they were on the list as small. So I ordered 1.1 small. They showed up in a crate. They were 9 feet long, and they were the most miserable animals you can imagine you've ever seen in your life. I was not ready cage-wise for 9-foot spilotes. And they hated every moment of my existence. Like, I couldn't even go in the room, and you would just hear them growl. Like, they just hated
They
you.
didn't throw the whole
Absolute, yeah,
throat bulge and
yeah,
everything?
yeah,
Ah,
yeah. They were just so, yeah. That was like, I was like, oh
Any face shots?
no, no, yeah. They were a hard one for sure. They took months and months just to get to eat regular, and because they're just so hyper, especially when they're mad. They just wouldn't be in food mode. They would be in defensive mode, obviously, because they
Oh
were
yeah.
plucked out of the wild at that size. Be different if you're taking babies, but
Yeah.
an animal that's that old already is pretty stuck in its ways, and now it's in a box in Canada. So yeah, that was a unique one. Had some Rufus beak snakes over the years
Oh yeah.
that came in wild caught, and they did real well, but they were really, really cool, unique animals. Yeah, I didn't venture too much into crazy weird stuff, because the other risk with the crazy weird stuff is, do I have the food to feed the crazy weird stuff? The
Exactly.
centipede eaters and the slug eaters and
Oh,
the egg eaters and
Yeah,
the
you got kukris again, right?
yeah, and they're eating egg out of a dish, but not rodents yet.
Yeah.
So they're captive, but still they're finicky. They like what they like, and
Yeah.
that's it. So
Sounds like
yeah.
some people feed them baby snakes and stuff in the past and whatnot.
They
I know Travis Wyman, another geneticist guy that's been on podcasts. I think once he fed a ball python shed to one, and well, he put it in as enrichment, and the thing ate the shed. So yeah, and I think I was talking to Chris the other day, and yeah, he talked about how he used to have the kukris, and you feed them like baby garters that passed away or something, and they just gobble them up super well. 'Cause, yeah, kukris are really weird. They're almost like a scavenger. Like if they find a dead carcass, like if you put in like a rat or something that they can't swallow, they'll they'll eat into its stomach and just eat out the guts, kind of thing. They're a really funky snake because they got two big serrated teeth to chew.
once they're big enough, they would take a quail. They seem to really like birds.
Oh yeah.
As well. So
Yeah.
I mean, but they're just too small to
Yeah. Even like a big egg, because I think in the wild they almost eat reptile eggs, right? So they'll slice open the leathery shell.
Yeah,
and
we
eat
crack
it
a
out.
chicken egg and put it in a dish,
Yeah.
and they just slurp it up,
Oh,
just
yeah.
like they're drinking water. They absolutely love it. So yeah,
Super cool
yeah,
snake.
yeah, very, very unique.
Because you
Yeah.
bred you had the Timons, so these were like a red kukri, those nice red kukris that you'll see sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bred those a
Yeah.
few years in a row.
A few years in a row, yeah. And again, just there wasn't the interest, and that's kind of Canada in a whole. Really, is anything really outside of the box we just don't have a big market for. So, I mean, you're talking about something like a carpet python that's, been bred here for 20, 30 years. There's still a very limited market. So you bring in a snake that, 8 guys know of. I mean, the market's even smaller. So,
Yeah.
it's, the Mexican night snakes we bred for a lot of years, but it was always, a push every year to get people to even know what they were, let alone, sell them. So the real oddball stuff is cool, and it keeps your interest, and it's amazing when you can breed it. But a lot of that stuff I've sold out of country just because we don't have the people that are interested in it here. So it ends up going to the US.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Which is nice to have that option. And I know that's kind of what Dom does, and sending it to Japan, right? You gotta,
I was gonna say not
Yep,
US,
that's
but
fine.
yeah.
yeah.
yeah, not your stuff. Yeah. Quite a bit of the odd colubrids I've sold to the US, but yeah.
Yeah, I could see that because none of that is CITES, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's only a couple of CITES colubrids.
And none of the
Pitaias
stuff that I bred has been CITES.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think Pitaias is like one or two of the Pitaias species are CITES, and then like Mousserana, but they're their own thing.
we can't have them in Alberta here.
You can't even have Boyrana.
I don't.
Because I thought it was Cilia that was on the list, and Cilia's not.
There's a couple of them for sure.
Okay.
No, we can't have. Yeah.
Because I think we could technically eat Boyrana in BC, which is
I'm
the one
gonna
that has
assume all those words are just rat snakes, right?
No, that's the Mousserana. They're a snake from South America that's like kind of a king snake, but they're rear fanged, and they can get like 6-7 feet long.
Yeah,
and
they're
they
big,
eat
yeah.
other snakes, and they will eat other snakes. Like
You've probably seen the pied version of them. There's lots of pictures of those out there. They're pretty
No,
pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
it's just
looking.
that I don't know the Latin names of any colubrids. So whenever you guys go down all Latin this, Latin that, I'm like, yeah, that's all the same thing to me.
oh yeah, the moosies are interesting. I'm gonna pull up a picture here because the babies have like a ring neck around them. Let's see if it's kind of.
I really thought the pied one would come up on your first image search.
So do you guys have any issues, Tyrone, where you were keeping rear fanged animals, or is that an issue?
Alberta has a pretty extensive list on rear fang stuff. There's only a few we're allowed.
Okay.
Falsies, rufous beaks, garters, I guess if you consider that. But most of them were not a pretty big controlled list in Alberta of what we're not allowed to have. So it's not a lot for rear fangs for sure. Pretty big. These are definitely one of the ones we can have, but amazing looking animals. Not the best temperament from what I hear.
The pied is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really, really nice. And sometimes you get the, not only that pied look, but they got like blotches of red as well in there. Really, really, really nice.
Oh yeah. And like I think it's one of those ones where like there's like pieds, and then you breed the pied to a pied, and you get like a really white one kind of thing. Like the normal pieds will have flecks of white, but then you breed the pied to a pied, and you get even higher white pieds, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, the babies have like
Super
a
pied.
Super pied.
super
yeah,
pied.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's how some people.
What's better than white? More white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is not an endorsement for KKK.
Yeah.
Do you have something else to talk, Mike? If not, I was going to go somewhere else with this.
No, you can go where you want to go. Go over where you
All
want.
right. So Tyrone, I heard you say earlier your collection's about 1,000 animals. To me, 1,000 animals is like mind blowing because that's a ridiculous amount of animals. So I'd love to go into how the heck do you take care of them? Obviously, none at home. Everything's in your
Two dogs at home. That's it. Everything's here.
Okay. So how do you take care of all that? What's your routine? Are you doing it daily, 8 hours a day? How do you take care of that many?
Yeah,
animals?
we're at the shop basically Monday to Friday, 8 hours a day, and then usually half a day or 3/4 of a day on Saturday, and Sunday is kind of the family day. But yeah, it's constant. I mean, we typically ship in the mornings. That's the frozen leaves, kind of Monday through Wednesday. So the mornings are kind of always devoted to the shipping and answering emails and responding to people and things like that. And then the afternoon is animal care. So, we start as soon as we're done with the boxes, we shift to cleaning tubs or feeding babies. And, at the beginning of the day, the top of the day, we'll decide who we're feeding that day, whether it's the baby wall or whatever, and take that stuff out and get it thawing. So it's ready for, 12, 1 o'clock once we start feeding off. But yeah, it's every day and it's constant. The baby wall that we have, the hatchling tubs, holds 1,000, and at any given time, it's almost full. So that's just the baby wall, and then there's all the adults. So I mean, it just never ever ends. By the time you're done one end, you're starting at the other.
So you're saying we? Who is we? You and
Well,
an employee, three
me
employees?
full time, and then my son, kind of comes when he's available. So it's kind of just the two of us, and I got a few other kind of helpers that kind of come in when they can, but it's mostly just me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. That's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. It is a lot. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. It's definitely a bit of work. Plus you got the lizards on top of it. And
hmm
then when you're middle of show season, right? Like how does like the week work like on a show week? Like what is that?
it's all this except busier. Then you're back at night as well on a
Oh
show
yeah.
week because you're packing for expos, you're packing animals, you're shipping them out, um, and then you still got all your regular chores, right? You're still making sure everybody's got full waters and feed before you go. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to organize, especially when we do shows close together. We have an A set of animals and a B set of animals, so they don't come to the same show. So there's, lots of things to keep track of. These ones are going to this show. These ones are going to this show. So these ones can get a break and feed, and these ones can go now. So yeah, it's show season is another animal completely. It's a lot more work, that's for sure, especially when there's travel involved.
Oh yeah.
The Alberta ones are a little better because it's closer to home. But when we're doing the Torontos or the Winnipegs or the Abbotsfords, or it adds another element of busyness. That's
Oh
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Plus you'll bring in like that's when the tortoises and the turtles and more lizards kind of come in. So you got that much more kind of extra stuff going on, not just snakes kind
Yeah.
of thing, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But it
So
helps you
when
also alleviate too.
so when you're doing the out of town shows, actually, that's like the out of town where you're flying. How I want to know, how do you plan how many animals you're taking? Are you shipping 24 hours ahead? How are you doing that? Because to me, I can see like the did I ship enough? Did I ship too many? I got to bring everything I don't bring back. Like I can see tons of these things going around in my head that I would be like, how do you know what to bring? Like for example, I think you were there at the CRBE. How did you
hmm
decide how many animals and when did you ship to have them arrive on time? I'm just curious of the logistic of how somebody brings animals across the country to do a reptile show.
Yeah. So typically for those long shows, for Toronto example, we'll ship a Wednesday for a Thursday arrival. So we give ourselves that extra day buffer just in case there is a delay. We don't want it held over the weekend, and then we got nothing for the show. Um, But what to bring and how much is absolute. I still haven't figured that out. I mean, sometimes, I'm going to bring a couple of these and a couple of these, and they'll sell out right away. And you're like, oh man, I should have brought like 10 of those. I've had so many people ask. So there's no formula. I try to bring a little bit of everything. We're a company that loves variety. So I try to bring frogs and turtles and tortoises and snakes and lizards and geckos. And I try to bring a little bit of everything. But as far as how much, still haven't figured it out. It changes show to show and year to year. So you just never know.
So then let's say you ship on Wednesday, they arrive Thursday. Obviously, Thursday you're in Toronto, I'm guessing, already there
Yeah,
before the
like
animals.
Friday, I would be in Toronto. So it depends on where I shipped them. If I shipped them to a buddy's house,
Yeah,
or
that's
had them and they just go right to the airport and somebody picked them up for me. Quite often, Michael will take care of that. If I ship them to Abbotsford, he'll crack the boxes, hydrate whoever needs to be hydrated, spray the frogs. So, I definitely have help from guys like this where when I'm sending them to these remote places to help me out, because they do get there a day early, and then you got the weekend of the show, and then on Monday they're going back. So it is it's a fair number of days in that box if you're not on top of making sure everything's okay. So
that's where I was going. So obviously you must be only selling neos or really tiny animals, right? To be able to keep them in smaller bins. You're not bringing anything big. And you just so on a long distance show, so let's say, I don't know if you want to say Winnipeg or if you want to say Toronto, those animals are essentially in a deli cup from Wednesday until maybe Tuesday next week, right? So
correct.
6 days. So you're taking them out, you're hydrating them. Like how do you? Because you obviously you're not carrying cages everywhere. Or like especially at tortoise, like are you letting the
Yeah.
tortoise walk out while you're not, like I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
how you do
So
that for the animals.
depending on the sensitivity of the critter, some that I know are going to be travel sensitive, I just don't bring. Like they just can't do those remote shows. It's got to be stuff that's more sturdy. So if you got really delicate little electric blue jay geckos or something, I mean, obviously those aren't going to go in a cup for 6 days. So it's got to be more hardy stuff. But tortoises, I try to, depending on where I am, Winnipeg or Abbotsford or whatever, I have guys that I borrow tanks from, and that stuff like tortoises will go out in a tank where I can give them a water bowl and I can give them feed and they can eat salad and have a light and have a little more of a life instead of just in a box. When I bring Euromastics, I always borrow a tank from Michael so I can set them up on sand with a good heat lamp. So yeah, we try to accommodate the best we can. The snakes stay in cups. Obviously, they're not so much of a worry. Rainbows, I might need to spray a couple times along the way to make sure their moss is not dry. But yeah, you do the best you can, and you have to really think about what you're bringing because you can't bring that real sensitive stuff. It's got to be hardier, and it's got to be well hydrated and fed beforehand. So there's a lot that goes into it. That's for sure. It's not just about throwing animals in a cup and heading to a show. There's a lot of prep.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
and customers need to remember that, like, if they want something, they shouldn't just expect it to be there, kind of thing. If you want something, especially on the sensitive side, you can reach out to any breeder that goes to these different shows ahead of time and pre-buy animals, because that just makes it that much easier. You pick it up at the show and makes it super simple, and you get to save on shipping too. So if anybody out there listening is
Or like aquatic turtles, I'll have a tank set up so they can swim around. They're not just sitting in a cup. So yeah, we try to make the best accommodations we can at expos and have some tanks there to allow some animals to stretch out and eat and all that kind of stuff. Just to try to make some concessions for them because it is a long time.
Yeah, you have a lot of respect for me because when I think of that, I don't think I could do it. Like, to me, there'd be too many things going around. I'm like, I don't know how the heck am I gonna do this? And then the next part is, now if you're shipping them there, you're shipping whatever is left back. You've got a cost there. You're shipping yourself through an airplane, maybe not in a box, but a big metal cylinder box. If you take all those into account, then you're paying your hotel while you're living there if you don't have a friend, or if you do, great, you're saving costs there. And then you don't have a vehicle when you're there. You're hoping somebody's picking you up. If not, then you're paying for a rental car. Like, everything that goes up in my brain there makes it that how the heck is
It's
you going to
thousands of
Toronto
dollars
worth it?
to do a remote expo is thousands of dollars. I mean,
But
just the plane tickets and the shipping itself is in the thousands.
so are you doing it purely for exposure and getting your name out there? Or are you doing it and actually making a profit when you come to Toronto? Because specifically Toronto to me seems like such a costly thing for somebody from like the west end of Canada. Literally, you're going from one end of the country to the other, which to me financially makes no sense.
We've done well in Toronto because we've been around a long time and people know who they are and they source us out for kind of the variety. So we've done okay. We've made money, but it's also networking, right? Like even if we broke even, it's still the networking of getting in front of those customers that who probably I've talked to, on the computer or on the phone, for the last 10 years and getting in front of them and shaking a hand and it goes a long way. So yeah, it's both, but there is profit there. We do, it is worth it for us to do it. But it is so much work and so much cost. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, especially when like Toronto's like a show with a super high table price too. So like that's another price. Like other shows, like your guys' show, like you guys have a fair table price. Like it's on the higher end, but like it's still like not too bad.
Right.
So yeah, and then you got the other shows like Abbotsford, our table price is super cheap. Well, like anybody can go to that. But that's how like we work. Like Abbotsford, we're not really trying to make a ton of money, especially off the vendors, right? We're trying to help make the vendors make money because we're just a club, while other shows are kind of more doing it for a profit kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into even choosing it, which shows you want to go to, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of fleshed out, the ones we like and the ones that value us being there, over the last few years. So I think last year we did 9 shows, which, works out to about a show almost every just over a month. You're packing up and doing it all over again. So, I mean, it's a lot. 9 shows. I mean, we could do more, but that's kind of our comfort level. is 9. I mean, other than that, they really start getting close together, and it really gets harder after that. Then you're working with not only an A and B set of animals, but probably a C set of animals because you're rotating things so much. So yeah, and then it's how much time you want to spend away from the shop too. So I mean, there's a balance of how much time you want to be away from home doing this, because it's like you say, it's 5 days. By the time you get on a plane and get back on a plane, I mean it's 4 or 5 days. It's a commitment to go to an expo. It's not just a willy-nilly thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know, because Toronto in itself, that was a long show because you're leaving. You got to be at the airport first thing Friday morning, or like I left Thursday night to get there Friday morning, and then I think we all stayed till Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's 5 days, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a long time, and then boom, 3 days later you're back packing animals and going on to another show, and then another one after that you're driving 6 hours to. So
There's guys in the States that just, I mean, make a career out of going to shows almost every weekend. I don't know how they do it. Like
Yeah.
I think so when I hear of that, I hear of people like having like, they're pulling a trailer, a utility trailer that basically has cages and heat, and it's kind of like they're pulling the houses of the animals around, right? And keeping them in a certain way. Because to me, if you're going 5 days, like those snakes eventually need heat. A lot of those animals, like, are you bringing like heat pads or like heat tape that you set up under like I'm just trying to think of like how you keep all those animals to a certain degree happy. I'm not saying they need full heat because you're obviously not feeding them. You're keeping them all empty stomachs when you're going for shows, right? Anyway, that's where I would be thinking. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
if I'm doing a show, no babies are being fed this week because I want them emptied. I also don't want them to crap in the containers when I'm at the show because then it looks bad. I got to clean, blah, blah, blah. Everything's simpler, right? Also, when you ship an animal, you don't want to feed it at least a week and a half before because so in the end, do they need that much heat? No, but I'm kind of thinking 5 days is a long time to have zero heat. So are you like putting the styrofoam container on a heat pad in the hotel? Like I'm just thinking of what's your setup in the hotel, and do you hide the animals or do the hotel knows you have that?
We don't. We do Airbnbs now. We don't do hotels anymore.
Okay.
But we don't bring the animals back to. They stay at the venue, so we do pack them all up in the styrofoam boxes and just use heat packs in the venue. But the shows that we do are typically spring, summer, so they're warm shows anyway. So ambiently, sometimes it's even too hot. Like when we do summertime shows and stuff, sometimes we're bringing like fans to, like, because it's so hot. You're worried about the frogs melting at the table because it's so hot. So. Yeah, the stuff like Euros, of course, we want to just pour the heat on them. So it depends on the critter. All the colubrids, they're fine at that temperature, at the table. But
Pythons that are healthy, they should do fine, right? Like it'd keep being kept in like the mid 70s, like for those, like that shouldn't do anything wrong to nice healthy pythons, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think like you would be fine doing even one show a year kind of thing, and especially if you did CRBE kind of thing, like that is only like a 3.5 days for you kind of thing. You pack them the night before, you pack them Thursday night, drive down Fridays, kind of get your booth set up, and
a lot of guys that plug in heat tape end up unplugging it at some point during the weekend because it's just so hot. Because you get whatever 10,000 people in there, and you're sweating in there by the end of the weekend. So I mean, it's and then those things got supplemental heat underneath them as well. So it's just like, oh man, these things are getting really warm.
yeah.
You take them out there and they feel warm to the touch, and they got nowhere to escape it, So it can almost be too warm depending on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's all good food for thought, right? So you don't really hear too much about people talking about what they actually do when they go to shows, because I guess a lot of us super reptile nerd guys don't even been to many shows. So yeah, it's definitely good hearing that. Is there anything
It's
else you want to cover, Dominic? Or are you
no,
still
I'm
trying to wrap your head around that?
no, I'm just talking about more of the shows because it's always something that I've always wanted to do, but I don't want to invest money into what I need to do a show, and I don't want to invest my time because I don't think I need to. Like I have about 8 or 9 animals left over from last year, and I'm okay with that because at one point I'll reach out to Tyrone, I'll reach out to some other people and be like, hey, what, you guys interested in this? And if I lower my price by $50 on everything, they'll take it all and it'll be gone. And as a general rule, I've always sold out. So, but I love the idea. I'd love to do one full weekend of just doing it and actually like living the, that whole weekend, the evenings. I want to be there at night with you guys and just party and just drink and
Well,
get up at
you
8
can
in the
do that
morning and
and not then too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You can just come
yeah,
hang out.
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, one day I'll
Make
have
a
to do it.
weekend of it and leave the animals at home and just come enjoy yourself.
One day I'm going to have to do that.
Yeah.
I've never done it. So I've always been the, Toronto's 5 hour drive there, leave at 3 in the morning, get there at 9, opens at 9:30, 10, stay there for 5, 6 hours, and then I
That's
drive back.
honestly the coolest part of the expos. I mean, the sales are great, and we do it because we do it for a living, and it's a business. But, um, the interactions with the other guys that you only ever see kind of a couple times a year, and you get to hang out with, and be in the Airbnb and going out for supper, and just, that's the cool part. I mean, hanging out with those people and talking. We're all nerds talking about the same stuff. Um, but that's the coolest part of it for sure, is hanging out
Right.
with those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And then since you wouldn't have animals, you can go fuck off for 2 hours kind of thing and go do something and then come back and right. Like, so
Yeah, you're not tied to the table. Yeah.
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 Like if you came out to Calgary, you can go to the zoo. You could maybe even do like a half-day trip out to Drumheller to the dinosaur museum and then come back for dinner kind of thing, right? You can get really creative with it.
Yeah, I've done so the Toronto or Montreal, I couldn't care less. I've gone there. I go there about like 10 times a year. There's really nothing special there. I've done Calgary once. Again, the Calgary we went there for 8 days and did mainly Banff and all that kind of shit there. It's really
Mhm.
cool, but I'd love to do it one year, and I'm let's see what you guys are doing for the WCRE. I'd be up to trying it once. And
Oh,
maybe
yeah. Well,
coming down
you
and
gotta drag Shan out with you too.
Mhm.
I mean, it would be cool. But with Shan, I'm trying to plan to go. I'd like to go to like Tinley once or things like that, because there's a couple of those shows that are really not that far from us, or I feel like are achievable. But
Yeah, Tinley's probably your closest big show for sure. Yeah, we did it not last year, the year before, 2 years
Yeah.
ago. Went down, and
Yeah, how was that?
it was good. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, but again,
if
it's
you
not. There's not as much variety as you think there's going to be, because you think it's a big show. It's just more of the same and more of it. More
Yeah.
leopard geckos, more ball pythons, more corn snakes, more.
so if you compare it to like the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo, only because that's the only big one that I've ever been to, how would you say it compares?
It's apples and oranges. I mean, because that show has a reptile section, but also a dog section and a cat section and a fish section and where Tinley is all reptiles. So it's the size of that show, but all reptiles. So different animal completely. The better one, in my opinion, because we've been to both, is the Super Show in Pomona. Rom show is really, really good. Lots of good variety out there, and it's California. I mean, if you're going to be somewhere, why would you be somewhere cold? You might as well be in California. So
Yeah.
that was a great. We've been there 3 or 4 times to the Super Show down there, and it's been fantastic. Really, really good.
Oh yeah, you got to meet some other podcast guys like Dave Levinson and some of the other fun to hang out with guys.
Yeah. We've had a few drinks with him over the years. He's a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and you
Yeah.
got to meet Psychotic Exotic and
Yeah.
who sadly passed away recently.
Yeah,
So
Kerry, when he still owned that company, and we've met Todd a few times. He was a real nice guy. Sorry to hear about his passing, but yeah,
yeah, it's
I
definitely a blow to the OG Morelia guys there.
yeah.
I
He was a
saw
nice
the
fellow.
I saw the post. Todd Dyers. It's just
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. I don't know him. I don't think I've ever talked to him, but definitely one
Yeah.
of the
Met him a
OGs,
few
and
times down there. He seemed like a real nice guy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Canadian Mouseman, what's your plan now for like where do you think it's going? Like obviously you're getting into more lizards. Like what are some future projects? Because I don't even think we've hit some of the lizards, but what's your
What did I add this year that's kind of new? I guess skinks a little bit. We got a pair of blue tongues last year. We're going to try to pair up this year. We've been breeding the zebra skinks, so excited on those little guys. We have a pair of Agernia growing up. And we got veiled chameleons, panther chameleons. Got some really nice red monster beardies growing up. So I added a few more lizard projects this year for sure. Where for a lot of years it was just snakes.
oh yeah, got like
Yeah,
10 species of anoles now too.
yeah. There's the knolls. Yeah. The tokays. So yeah, different different stuff. Again, I love everything, and that's always been my problem. Is I've never been just laser focused on one group of animals. I love everything. So, my focus is broad. That's for sure. Which is why it's still fun to come to work every day after all these years. I mean, it's still exciting to set up new tanks and try new projects, and you know, yeah,
And you
it's
can
that's
bring some funky stuff in. Like you got last year, you got pancake tortoises and
right.
Greek tortoises, and you got
Yeah.
these. He has Indian spotted turtles here.
Mhm.
Those are freaking cool.
Yeah.
Although, like I think we looked up
16 to 18 inches.
yeah,
Yeah.
Raul Gonzalez had posted a picture on one of the turtle groups, and yeah, Indian spotteds being like this big, like
Yeah, you
just
got to have some big room.
ginormous.
Yeah.
But they're cool. Although those are probably like 50-year-old turtles that have been kept outside in Florida for
Yeah.
that amount of time. So
Yeah, these are just little hatchlings. But
Yeah.
yeah, cool as hell. That's for sure. Yeah.
yeah, lots of fun stuff. And these
Ornate
African
yeah.
ornate turtles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which are kind of like you've probably seen a bunch of those like African side neck / mud turtles, right? You've seen those around probably when you worked for Little Rays and that.
Yeah, we did. Those were actually really cool.
Oh yeah. You have any other questions?
So,
Dominic?
well, I do actually. We got to go down one little rabbit hole. So it's been 2 hours, and you said you have carpet pythons. So I got to ask, what carpet pythons do you have, and are you breeding any?
I am going to put some together this year too. I mean, I don't know if you can see this or not, but staring at us right up here is an Atlantic jag. Looking down on us, we got a granite zebra right here, super granite or super zebra granite, albino zebra. There's lots of good coastal stuff. There's the
Neon Pavel line.
yeah, I can show one of the yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out what you have so far. Everything that you've named so far is a cross, so it's more like
Yeah.
designer carpets. I'm just looking to see everything.
It's all designer.
It's all designer in your food.
I'm not really a purist guy when it comes to
That's
carpets, so I don't know if you can see this or not, but these are some of the
I-
stone walks for growing up. Probably just looks like a blur on your screen,
Yeah.
but
I think the people on the chat actually listening can actually see it. I think it's only blurry because when I put my scroll on there, it says that the recording is higher quality than it appears. That's what it's written on. So
Yeah.
So these
mean,
are some of the stone wash.
it's a beautiful blur.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Brettles are pure, but a lot of other just designer stuff.
And there's a really nice German lion jungle from Dawn Patterson as well over there. She looks like she's almost ready to breed too. She looks fantastic.
I might. So I lost my pure German line jungle this year, or actually from last year, which
Okay.
pisses me off because by far the nicest jungles in Canada are all the German lines. They're insane. I have tons of her offsprings, so I have probably 8 or 9 offsprings that have been bred to different males. So I have some, but they're all 50% German and something else in there, right? So it's something I need to get back through Dawn. I need to bring back some pure German line to breed back to other animals, but
Oh yeah.
he asks so much money for them. I don't get it. They're just like, it's insane. Like, to me, a jungle shouldn't cost $800 Canadian for just a regular jungle. Like, it's insane. So anyway, I haven't reached out to him yet, but I need to.
Well, you got a
acquire
name
more.
behind you. You can ask those, right? So
Well,
yeah,
I'm gonna do what I normally do. I'm gonna say, here, I'm gonna trade you this. Send me cash and that animal. I'm not gonna have a choice.
Yeah, it would be definitely cool. I want to see Shan put that ivory stuff into the Germans. That would be kind of nice, I think.
I don't think so.
What did Shan brought? Like a really nice one, but I don't know. What did Shan breed his to again?
So
His
if you're
ivory?
talking about ivories, he's breeding ivories to ivories. So the thing is,
yeah, but they're a percentage though, right?
so they're all 75%
Oh.
ivories, which is still a pure jungle. It's
Yeah.
it just came from the Ivory Project from Nick, and then that went to UK Python. Then UK Python bred them out to zebras. What am I looking at here? It's banded.
That's the German jungle.
Yeah.
Again, it's not going to do it justice probably on your feed, but
I can
Yeah.
take a picture of it later.
yeah.
Yeah, send me a picture after, but I'm curious to see what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
So I was just telling Mike, I freaking love the German line. I just find that I don't want to pay 800 or so Canadian for a German line
But
jungle. To me, it's
he left.
ridiculous.
He's just putting it back.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely hard to swallow, but they're pretty cool though, right? So you can't go wrong with the yellow snake. Just
No,
like
you
the
can't.
Japanese.
So to me, the only reason I'd be doing it is just to up the percentage. So going back to the ivories, so Shan basically has 75% ivory projects, and he's
Yeah.
got 75 ivories and 75% ivory zebras. I'm looking at that. I'm going to go Amazon tree boa.
Yeah, so that's a
Okay.
calico, a red calico.
The red is
You can see the
insane, even though it's blurry, and it looks like the snake's bleeding from my side.
yeah. So you got the white and the black spots for the. Yeah.
Yeah, like
And those are all from Dawn, right?
These are Dons, yeah, yeah.
that's a good size. Is that breeder size or not quite yet?
No,
No,
no.
they'll get probably
Mm.
double that size.
Yep.
Like it's long, like it's probably like a 3-foot snake at least, but it's super
I
thin,
bet you
right?
it's longer than 3 feet with the
Yeah, that's what
amount
I
of
mean,
body
right? I probably
size.
undersized it there. Yeah, they're they're long and skinny, but yeah, no, I think they'll get a bit more size. His I think he has a nice red calico female that's gonna go nice. I think we got to get Randy Piggies on from where is he from? I think he's from Whidbey Island in Washington. He has a ton of
I
Amazon stuff, and he used to do the import chondro stuff before that even, so he'd be a good guest to have on
I'm
in the
a
future.
hundred
And
percent on for doing an Amazon tree boa show,
Yeah,
and I want to
he's always
do
good
an
for sharing
emerald
my
and
posts,
basin
my
show.
Amazon posts and stuff. Seems like a good guy.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
Randy's good. I think
yeah.
I think he's a general contractor as his main job. He
Mm.
does a lot, and he keeps discus like you
Nice.
used to
Yeah,
keep
yeah, yeah.
discus. Yeah,
Love distance. Yeah.
yeah. Randy's a good guy. Same as Jeremy Turgeon, works for
Mm-hmm.
US Arc part time. He has tons of cool Amazons, and he's a carpet guy, so that'd be another cool guy to
Yeah.
have on. So yeah.
Hey, I'm down with any of those shows, especially species that I really love but don't keep. So any
Right.
arboreal boas I think is really cool. And I want an Amazon show, and I want a emerald and basin show at some point. I want a
Oh well,
green tree show.
we probably hit
There's
some of
so
that
many we
next week
haven't
with
done.
MJ.
Yeah, MJ actually should be that should be a pretty cool show. I'm actually looking for it. I've never talked to him yet. Have you ever talked to him?
No, only texting a little bit. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think he'll be good. He's fairly passionate, so I think it'll be a fantastic show.
And Grant reached out to me, so and he really wants to come on. So I think at one point we're gonna have to bring him on too.
Okay,
I think it could make
sounds good.
another interesting get the east side of the shows compared to the west side of the shows and maybe
Yeah,
get his
for sure.
input.
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions you want to ask Dominic?
I was thinking we're over the 2 hours there. Not quite sure where to go from here, but all I can say is Tyrone, I've known you for a little while now. You're a great guy. I love what you're doing. I love that you're doing it full time. I think it's really cool that people are able to achieve that. And I wish you a lot of luck this year. I hope you produce like crazy and keep us updated. And I definitely want to go to the west side and come hang out with you guys one day. Maybe for a show.
Yeah, it'd
That
be
would be
great to
really
have you
cool.
out at the WCRE. The we do one in April and the big one's in August. So August would
April
probably
and
be the one
August.
you'd want to aim for sure. Yeah.
Do you want to quickly? Maybe we want Tyrone to quickly talk about how you're involved with Greg and WCRE in that.
Yeah,
That short.
Greg's my partner for that venture. So it's been good. We've been doing that for a lot of years, and we work really well together, and kind of trying to grow that show every year and bring more variety and adding plants and different vendors and people from the East and internationally. And, so yeah, that's, putting on a good show is definitely what we're passionate about for sure. But getting the best vendors in front of the best people to add variety to that. So yeah, it's not as big as Toronto, but it's big for the West. Yeah. We take a lot of pride in putting on a good show. So
And it's growing.
it's growing every year. Yeah.
Last year's spring one was huge. Like
Huge.
I think you guys said it was even bigger than the summer one we had.
Yeah. Yeah. For out here, we had 7,500 people through the door for April, which was a great show for just a reptile show. So yeah, it was good. We're very happy with how it's growing for sure. Yeah. And Greg's phenomenal. I mean, he's, a fantastic
Yeah,
partner. So
it's a great guy. So just by curiosity, when you're it's the West End of Canada, is that weird to ask? Like, what's your competition? Is there other shows held by other companies or other people, or are
yeah,
you guys
there's
the only
another
ones there?
one in Alberta that does a couple shows in Calgary, and then
That,
Michael's
yeah,
show that does a couple
yeah,
in BC, and there's another faction that does shows in BC, which we've never gone to, and then there's a couple in Edmonton. So yeah, there's lots of different kind of people doing it, and they're all doing slightly different things to, whatever their market is. But we try to do things that are, I don't
bit,
know, maybe
a little bigger.
just slightly bigger and slightly different. But yeah, there's definitely room for everybody. It's different than the East, because the East is just Grant. Right? Grant's got all the shows down there, and he puts them all on, and you know. So yeah, there's a few other in different parts, but mostly just the Grant show.
Yeah, the ones that people go to are
Yeah.
mostly Grant show, right? So
Yeah. And in the West, you got a few different options. If you, like I said, a few companies in BC, there's WCRE, and then there's another faction that puts them on out there. But
yeah,
yeah, people can kind of pick and choose where they want to go, and that type of thing. But yeah, we just try to do things a little bit, like I say, maybe bigger, or think outside the box a little bit, and always try to be open to new ideas and different vendors that want to come. And so yeah, I mean, it's growing every year, so we're very happy with that.
No, very cool. No, I love it. And there is two or three, like there's sometimes a couple of shows in Montreal, like once every 6 months. I've gone to maybe 3 or 4 of the shows in Montreal. Not worth it for me when there's 15 reptile tables. Like,
Right.
to me, it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
There is another show in Renfrew. Is it Renfrew? I think there was one in Renfrew once, and there's another one in trying to think of what the heck that town is. It's about 2 hours from Toronto and 3 hours from us, where there's a reptile zoo in there. Anyway, I'm forgetting the little city, but there is one there. And again, it's small shows that I don't know. I feel like if it's like our Ottawa show, like we have a reptile show here once a year, only one reptile show for a city of 1 million people. And when I go to it, it's a complete joke. Like there's 15 reptile tables, and it's just the basic same, and they're the same vendors that are in Toronto too, right? So when you drive up there, which makes it completely not worthwhile. So unfortunately, in this case, it's kind of like one person has the monopoly for all of them, and it's the only one worth going to. So I was just wondering if that was kind of how it was. And if you are the biggest show, then I get the feeling you might have the one that has the most audience or most people want to go to, because it's the one that's, well, worthwhile going, if that makes sense. That's how I
Yeah,
would see
I mean,
it.
I think it's probably the biggest, and and we've worked hard to expand the variety of the show with plants and different reptile vendors and things like that. But
advertising.
advertising, yeah, we do a lot of we never know what really works, so we put advertising kind of everywhere, because you don't know what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. So it's tough to just do social media or just do newsprint, or so we kind of do a little bit of everything. And so far that's kind of worked, because it's tough to really pinpoint at the end of the day what, this really worked. You shouldn't bother with that, because, people coming through the door, you don't know where they heard about it. Maybe they heard about it from a friend, maybe, and to ask every person that comes through the door where they heard about it. I mean,
Yeah. I think Greg tried that.
we tried, we
Which
put up,
kinda
we set
worked.
up an iPad, and we tried to, get some information, and yeah, it's very limited, so. Yeah,
Yeah.
we just do a little bit of everything, I guess, is the takeaway from that, because we don't know what works, so we do a little bit of everything. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, do you want to share how people can get a hold of you and where people can find you?
They can check out the website, CanadianMouseman.com. We try to keep up to date with the animals on there. This time of year, it's a little more limited because we're not shipping and whatnot. The social media, Instagram and Facebook, Canadian Mouseman. And yeah, you can always get a hold of me at the shop. I'm here, like I say, 6 days a week. So the phone, is ringing pretty steady. People like to, just call instead of shoot an email or that type of thing if they have a question. So yeah, we're always here to answer questions or follow up care if there's an animal to be sold, and if people have a question on feeding and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're always around.
Awesome. So for Michael Gillian on Facebook, for myself, Dominic Cavano on Facebook, Dom's Reptiles on Instagram. For the show, guys, it's Reptile Rejects on Instagram. Michael will eventually reply when he feels like it. I wanted to first of all, I forgot, probably should have done it at the start of the show, but I wanted to apologize for the slight intoxication of the holiday show that happened last week. It was dropped today. Anyway, I don't plan on drinking that hard on every show, but it was a good time. I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was definitely different. I want to thank everybody for joining. If you are listening on YouTube, please follow. Please click those little like buttons, make a comment, whatever helps the algorithm that I don't understand. And on any type of podcast you're listening to, again, follow us. We'd appreciate it. And Tyrone, thank you. Love that you came on. I'm really happy. Love that you guys did the show at the same spot. Makes it different, makes it enjoyable. And to everybody
Thank you
listening,
guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
happy to have you on. And to everybody in the chat, thanks for joining. And everybody, we'll see you next week with, I believe MJ is our next guest. So have a good night, everyone.